Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Speaker Brains with the most unprofessional music critics on the internet, Travis, Zach, and Josh. What's up, everybody? It is a new Speaker Brains with your hosts, John Short and Travis Jones.
And Trevor Jonesy.
Trevor Jonesy. Today is another edition of grown-ass men talking about pop artists.
Well, I thought about this because you know we've made that joke many times. It's not that we're grown-ass men. It's that we're grown-ass straight men talking about pop artists.
Yeah, like grown-ass straight men, straight up all about the Gaga. I'm all about the Gaga.
Yeah. I'm all about certain eras of the Gaga.
Yeah, certain eras
Not
of the
all of
Gaga.
them.
You know, yeah, this is crazy, and it sucks because I'm incredibly hyped for, I think it's called Chromatica, her new album.
It is Chromatica, yeah.
Yeah, and I'm...
Because Stupid Love is great.
Yeah, I fucking love that song. I'm like, I am all about that shit. The music video, too, I'm all over that shit.
The like Mad Max by way of Sailor Moon.
Oh shit! You know, I was saying Mad Max by way of West Side Story, but you know what? Sailor Moon makes way more fucking sense.
West Side Story's definitely in there too. even like a little bit of like maybe the Beat It video from Michael Jackson.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
You know, the highly choreographed knife fighting.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm totally hyped for it, and it was gonna be coming out next weekend, but she straight up delayed it, because of the COVID-19 shit going on, which, you know, respect for her. I'm totally bummed, but it'll still be here if we make it out of this alive.
Almost everybody's putting off their stuff, you know, so I'm not surprised.
Yeah, so far, you know, I'm glad the Pearl Jam still came out, and I am surprised that Nightwish hasn't made an announcement, because their new album comes out next weekend also, and totally hyped for that. So I'm kind of happy that, you know, I'm not getting Gaga and Nightwish on the same day, because that's, you know, where is my mood gonna be, you know, because I'm gonna be able to really dive deep into the Nightwish, you know, and I don't want nothing else distracting me.
So, I guess, you know, we'll go through the motions. Because Lady Gaga is like such a huge figure, like for a minute there, she was like the pop star of our age.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if, like, how did you find out about Lady Gaga? Let's go with that.
The way it took me a while to even, like, become a fan, because I was still in my, I was in my mid-20s at this point, and I was still in my, fuck the radio, I don't like anything that more than 10 people like. Yeah, so, like, her singles would come on, and I'd never pay attention. I know Stas liked her, and I remember is it Love Game with I Want to Take a Ride on Your Disco Stick?
I think it is.
This lady I used to work with at Cessna back in the day, she's about 10 years older than me, and we'd be outside smoking, and she's like, man, her daughter, she says, was like 8 at the time, and she's like, my daughter's going around talking about, I want to take a ride on your disco stick, and I'm like, do you even know what a disco stick is?
Well, I mean, that's like the Tipper Gore shit of like, you know, comes in the house, here's you know, Prince singing about Darlin' Nikki in the hotel lobby masturbating with a magazine.
Yeah, seriously. So I was like, that's fucking hilarious. And then all of a sudden, like, more and more singles started dropping, and I was like, damn, you know what? These are actually pretty decent, you know? And that was also during my transition of when I met that Johnny kid who used to be on this channel when it first started, and he was much younger than me, and he would talk shit about things without knowing nothing about it. And when he would start talking shit about actual, real credible artists, I would be like, is this what the fuck I sound like? You know? So I started really changing my my tune on a lot of shit. And so it was around the time Born This Way was coming out when I was like, okay, I'm digging the fuck out of this chick. And I don't give a fuck who knows about it. But that's pretty much my...
Yeah. My story is... So, you know, there's about a 10-year... I think it may be more like 11-year age gap between Travis and I. So, I was, like, the target age group.
Yeah. At least
Gaga
like
and her...
people my age too, mid-20s at the time when it came out, you know?
Definitely, like, and that's the hard thing is like where like I am sympathetic to like parents being like, I don't want my child listening to this garbage. Is like, you know, it's aimed at 20-somethings, but it's marketed to little kids.
Yeah, seriously.
And little kids wind up, you know, listening to it anyway. So yeah, you have little 8-year-olds singing about want to take a ride on your disco stick. So I heard about Lady Gaga pretty much when she came out, like everybody else. I remember. Paparazzi and Poker Face in particular were like inescapable.
They were, man. Those, and even Love Game too, man. And really,
I never heard Love Game as much, but like when the Fame Monster came out,
and Just Fucking Dance too.
Not so much the actual hook from Bad Romance, but the like onomatopoeia and the beginning of the song.
And what's crazy is the fact that some of her most popular songs aren't with, like Bad Romance, aren't even on this album that we're about to be talking about.
Yeah, and like the interesting thing about the Fame is that like it has so many of her most iconic tracks on it. Like the tracks that like anybody who was around when she broke through will immediately, you know, like you say Lady Gaga, I think Poker Face, Paparazzi, Born This Way, Bad Romance, Telephone.
Yeah.
You know, and then maybe Applause and oh God, what is that closing track on Born This Way? The Edge of Glory. Maybe those two. And that being said, you know, about the Fame, it's not a very good album.
Yeah, so was that your story, or?
That's my story, that's all. Well, actually, no, I will add a little bit to it, you know, to finish it up. You know, I was like you for a long time. You know, I got into music via prog.
Yeah, so that's...
So, like, I was killing the music snob shit through my teenage years. But in, like, late 2013, I got sick as a dog and it was like bad. Like it was like the flu to the power of 10.
Damn.
And I missed like half a week of school, which did not happen in my house because my mom was pretty strict about that. But anyway, like I was not. It wasn't just that I was sick. I was like physically unwell, so I would just lay in my bed all day with my laptop and watch YouTube videos. And what I would do is I would watch all of Weird Al's videos, like all of his music videos.
Yeah. And
like I give Weird Al a lot of credit because like those music videos, like that week changed my perspective on music.
Hell yeah.
Because I was like, I love these Weird Al versions, but then it's with some of the songs I was like, why do I like the Weird Al version but not the original?
There's the same
some
way.
Contradictions. Huh?
I am the same way. Like there could be a song that he parodied where I hate the original, but his version I can jam.
And like his Lady Gaga style parody, which is basically the love child of Express Yourself by Madonna and the actual Born This Way song.
So you're talking about Express Yourself? Or not that, but Perform This Way?
Perform This Way. I loved that. I still think that's one of his best modern parodies.
Yeah, the lyrics are fucking hilarious. And just the way the way he understands what she's doing.
Exactly.
It's very much in the same vein of the Nirvana parody.
It very much is. So I was like, obviously, like, Weird Al parodies some songs that I do not like. By artists I do not like. But in that particular case, I was like, I was like, this is a good song, even without the silliness. Like, I need to check out some Lady Gaga, and so I did. Not until about 2018, but I did.
But I'll get to it.
It was a very low priority.
I'll get to it eventually.
Yeah.
But yeah, so are we talking going into the Fame now?
Yes, we are.
The Fame sucks.
I was thinking about I don't remember whether it's one of your podcasts or it's one of my podcasts. One of the ones that one of the two of us did. There's an opening where the leader is like, so the very first album, and then one of the other guys pops up is like, sucks, move on. And that's kind of how I feel about the Fame.
Like the Fame. All right. Let me pull up my notes because when I'm driving through an album fairly quick, I've got to. All right. I like Just Dance, and I like Love Game, and I like Paparazzi, and I really dig Poker Face. But fucking one of my things about Poker Face is if you listen to it a certain way when she's going Poker Face, fucking, I swear, you're never going to unhear this, but Poker Face, fuck her face. You know what I'm saying?
I get that.
It straight up sounds like that second part she's saying fuck her face.
Well, Poker Face, like, embodies, like, a lot of early Lady Gaga is, like, it's catchy, but it can be annoying.
Oh, man, can it? I remember the Cartman version is less annoying. Now that's saying something.
The what?
The Cartman version from South Park is less annoying than the original. There's a charm to it.
So I took notes. I didn't take notes for any of the other albums, but I took notes for the Fame. because I was like, I need to take notes on this so my notes are, at the beginning, the first note is I hate the production.
So what is it about the production?
It's those, like...
The party synths.
Yeah, those, like, skronking 2008 club synths.
Yeah, this is so 2008.
Oh my god, it is trapped in a time capsule.
Yeah.
Like, it has not held up. Like, the singles have held up, like, some of the other tracks have held up. Like, I like Beautiful Dirty Rich.
That is my favorite song on here, mostly because of the fucking beat, like the breakbeat drums and shit at the beginning. I'm fucking all about that.
I like the title track. It's not great, but it's...
Oh yeah,
it's
yeah.
good.
The Fame is Red. I dig that. Okay. But Starstruck, like, who the fuck is Space Cowboy? And I hate Flo Rida.
Yeah, I listened to that, I was like, who is this rapper? I know that voice. And I read Flo Rida, and I'm like, that's a name I have not heard in a long time.
Yeah, seriously. There was a time when that guy was on everything.
Everywhere.
Oh, what is wrong with us? As a society, what's wrong?
It's not a good song, but I like Brown Eyes because, like, that's the first real indication to me that, like, this lady has a little more depth.
Yeah, Brown Eyes sounds closer to what she'd eventually kind of be doing.
Yeah.
It feels
like
more
the
like...
beginnings of what Joanne is.
Yeah, it feels like this album has more studio input, whereas Brown Eyes has more Gaga input. Cause she's like...
Yeah.
I don't know, it's not as dirty. This album isn't as dirty as she'd eventually be getting. The song Nothing Else I Can Say is probably the worst thing on here.
My note on AA is, first note, shitty pop reggae. Second note, UB40 meets Madonna on her C game.
Yeah, dude.
Like American Life Madonna.
Oh my god. Which Madonna was American Life? Was that the late or early...
The one that has, I guess I'll die another day.
Oh god, yeah. Ugh.
Probably her worst album.
Oh my god. Yeah, that's the one. That's right after she did that music shit. That's when I was, like, definitely off the Madonna train when I was a kid.
Yeah, like Ray of Light is really her last good one.
Yeah. I can get into Ray of Light because of the electronica shit.
Too, so, like...
But, I mean, that song is garbage on here. I mean, to me, it's like, you get just pulverized by the 4 big singles, and then AA comes in, and like you said, it is cheap-ass pop reggae. It is way too bubblegum. It is, God, fuck, like, gag me with a spoon.
It's so grody.
Yeah, it is grody to the max.
Yeah.
But fuck. But then we get made up with Beautiful Dirty Rich. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
And then The Fame is fine. And then Money Honey is
Money Honey.
okay. But Boys, you know, I'm whatever on that.
Boys sucks. Paper Gangsta sucks.
Oh God, doesn't it?
I Like It Rough sucks.
Yeah.
And then you get a closing track, Summer Boy, which is Lady Gaga by the way of like the Cardigans.
Yeah.
Or like the Cardigans or like solo Gwen Stefani. Like it is when that closing track came on, I was like, what is this? Is this still the Fame? Like, what is this?
There are parts on this album definitely where her singing kind of hits fucking Gwen Stefani meets Fergie for me. Which track?
I'm glad you made that connection because like one of my notes is like there is not as big of a gap between this and the Black Eyed Peas as I would like for there to be.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. I mean, they're like
and
what?
Like the thing about the Black Eyed Peas is that like I can at least appreciate that like there are Black Eyed Peas and there are Fergie tracks that are weird as shit. Like
yeah, like the dude.
Fergalicious and London Bridge are like. They're awful, but they're some of the weirdest shit that has ever gotten as popular as it was.
Like, fucking will.i.am is one of those dudes where it's like, I love to hate you, but damn, fucking, you got some skills, because the man can make some wild-ass beats, where I'm like, God, dude, if you didn't have the Ferg turd on this would be fucking awesome. And then
you can't blame it all on her because will.i.am is annoying.
Oh,
too.
It's his fucking fault. It's definitely his fault all the fucking way. Cause like when Black Eyed Peas,
Crazy Bass song,
when Black Eyed Peas was goddamn like good consciousness rap, they were trying to be the Roots, and they had
they were like second-rate the Roots.
Yeah, but like those two albums are great. I'm like, this is some really good shit, man. But then, they weren't making any money. So what did he do? Oh, you know what? I need to hire a hot chick to sing on these things. And yeah, it's all will.i.am's fault that the Peas went to shit.
Yeah, it is. It is. But what I was gonna say is like, there's not as much of a gap between this and like the contemporary like Peas, like, because what were the Black Eyed Peas doing in 2008 2009? Was that when they did that Boom Boom Pow song?
Yeah, that is definitely when all that shit was starting to happen. This came out when, to me, Black Eyed Peas were at the height of their awfulness with the I'm a bee, 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 I'm a bee. They were
I got a feeling.
Yes, exactly. When that crap was coming out, what else? There was one damn it. Oh yeah, the one where they just ruin the Dirty Dancing song.
I know what you're talking
it's like
about.
You're like, oh shit! Wow, they're covering the Dirty Dancing song. You know what? I can get behind this. And then Dirty Bit Whip 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 Dirty Bit Whip Whip. Like, what the fuck did you do to my fucking ears, man?
And then like 2 years later, they gave like what is universally considered to be like the worst Super Bowl performance ever, and it just ended their career.
Yeah.
They just dropped off the face of the earth.
Oh man, once you failed the Super Bowl, man, it's over.
Or once Justin Timberlake pulls your shirt open at the Super Bowl.
God, Jesus. Oh, but yeah. Fuck. But man, damn it, the Black Eyed Peas do have a lot. Even like, I do like the one song off of their Monkey Business album. The one that's like, la 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 la, don't fuck with my heart. I like that. But yeah, they suck.
Yeah, and it's like with the Fame, it's like the singles are great, but it's like I was saying to you last night. They are like, there are little bits on the singles that are annoying.
Yeah, because like I was gonna say, when she starts to sound like Fergie, What track? It's one of these 4 singles where she says something like, "Lovin' on my muffin, na na na." I'm like, this shit be sounding like the Hump song, yo. It's when the music goes boom 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 boom, some crap like that with the synthy.
I think it might be on Paparazzi, but I don't know, because Paparazzi definitely has, like, I was gonna say, like,
I think it's on Love
really,
Game.
Like, you're probably right. I was gonna mention there's some, like, uncomfortable, like, middle class white girl rap on this album. And she drops that shit afterwards, and thank God.
Yeah, thank God. Like,
it is garbage.
I don't know what it is, man, that, you know, thankfully there is not a lot of rap on here. And praisefully, there's absolutely no rap on Born This Way. But, oh man, I don't know what it is, but for some reason, rap just does not work on a Gaga song. And we'll get to that shit when we hit Art Pop. Oh my God.
It's Poker Face, I'm pretty sure, that has that.
Sucking on my muffin. It's like, I don't know, she says something about a goddamn muffin, and I'm like, 2008 metaphors for vagina.
It's like my humps, where it's like,
exactly.
My lovely lady lumps.
Exactly.
And I'm like, that is not a flattering way to just, like, I don't picture anything sexy, I picture a tumor.
Are you a camel?
Do you have, like, growths on you?
Like 2008 lady part references all the way.
You're so 2000 late.
Yeah. Fuck. We are 12 years away from that.
Yes, we are.
Isn't that weird? And like, you know, that line instantly dates that song, but it makes it worse the further we get away from it. You're like, this bitch just quoted 2008. What the hell was going down in 2008 that is like, you had to timestamp this fucking song with that? Oh my God.
This coming at you from the heart of the recession, y'all.
Yes, seriously. The housing market crisis, yo.
We just lost all our money. Hey, I mean, we're all about to lose our money again, so...
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. So, yeah, the Fame, I'm not going to call it garbage. It's definitely among the Lady Gaga albums I rarely touch.
It's a 5 out of 10.
Yeah, straight up 5 for me. It is an average fucking 2008 pop album with just a few things that make it stand out, but all the 2008 pop club record shit sort of just drowns any ounce of interesting moments for me.
Yeah, definitely. Like there are some halfway decent tracks there, but like it is all drowning in that like 2008 club.
Yeah.
Because this was when, like, I think this is right around the time that shit started, where like for about 4 or 5 years, everything was about the club, and I don't really understand why.
I guess to just distract people from the shit that was going on, you know?
Like that, like in hindsight, like that's my thought too, of like maybe it was like, you know, you gotta get your mind off of this stuff, so pop is gonna be like the mental image that I always use for this kind of stuff is it is like a drag queen beating you over the head with a bright neon sledgehammer. That is what this era of pop was like, and like there are times that I can really dig this stuff, but like not so much on the Fame.
Yeah, like, they're all talking about, go to the club, get your mind off of the recession and all the bad stuff going on right now. But, like, me, I was just smoking weed and watching YouTube. Like, that is all I needed.
And I was too busy being 12 years old.
God damn.
Although I will say like this is where you can be like, like everybody's got like their fucked up childhood. I knew when I was 12, I knew other people who were 12 who were like smoking weed and like popping mollies, and at the time I was like, okay, but now I look back at that and I'm like, it's pretty fucked up.
I thought you were going to be like, and I'm looking back at it like, damn, I should have tried it. Oh my god. But so, how long after did she drop the fantastic Monster EP, and then they re-released it?
There was like some EPs and like acoustic tracks, and like I know there was like a classical piano version of Poker Face that like blew people away, because this Lady Gaga came, and this is maybe for like, if on the off chance we have any listeners who are like 16 to like 14 who don't remember 12 years ago.
Yeah.
There was an era of pop music where like suave, sophisticated listeners like ourselves just were like, oh yeah, pop fucking sucks. I'm gonna go over here and listen to Vampire Weekend instead.
Yeah. Where's my fun record?
Yeah, exactly. like have you seen where I put my Fleet Foxes record?
Yeah, for real.
So, like, when like, Lady Gaga came out and, like, people started to realize that, like, first off, like, she's a damn good pianist. And secondly, she can sing.
Yeah.
Like, she has got some pipes. People were like, oh my god, a pop star with talent.
What? This bitch went to Juilliard.
So the Fame came out in November 18th of 2009. But we didn't call it 2009 back then.
I was just saying 09. I'm still saying 020, 021. I was so used to
2020, man.
Right? I was so used to saying fucking 01, 02 that when we got to 010, 011, I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna keep it going. 012, 014.
Well, I'm not gonna lie, I called it 2000 and whatever until I think 2016 is when I made the switch.
016.
Don't remember why. So August of 2008 to November of 2009.
So
a
barely
little
over a year. Barely over a year, her shit got way better.
Oh my god, this is like such a it's insane, because like she goes from like one of those classic like to me one of those classic kind of like bad to average debuts.
Yeah.
That have like some good tracks like it that make you remember the album, but like the whole album does not hold up to like seriously probably her best album.
Yeah, like this, man. This and Born This Way, it's my shit.
Serious.
But man,
and I like that they initially like bundled it together with the Fame.
You know what's crazy is, I guess for a minute that was a thing, because and weirdly enough, all right, remember we were talking on the Lana Del Rey retrospective.
Yeah.
She does the Paradise EP, and they lumped it together with Born to Die as the Paradise Edition, and Lady Gaga does the same thing with the Monster EP. You get the Fame Monster Bundle Edition, but then Kesha did the same thing with her first album, where you've got Animal/Cannibal. And what is really crazy is most people say that the stuff off of those EPs is miles ahead of that original album that they're paired up with.
And you know, the crazy thing is, like, it wasn't just pop artists. Because, like, Eels did that, too.
Yeah.
Like, their album from, like, 2001 has an EP, like a little 4-track EP on a second disc.
That is cool. I gotta get more Eels, man.
So it was like, that was... You want to know the crazy thing about the Eels? Is, like, I remember having a conversation about them with one of my buddies from the UK. And I was like, oh yeah, the Eels, they're one of the classic one-hit wonders of the 90s. And my friend was like, what are you talking about, man? The Eels are huge. And they are. In the UK.
In the UK, yeah. Fucking funny enough, there's a lot of bands, like Fun Loving Criminals. Over here, they had a decent hit with Scooby Snacks. But in the UK, they're still fucking huge. Like, goddamn.
Yeah.
So it's just, we have this, America has this, this idea of you've only made it if you make it in America. Like, that's this one sad thing about us as, you know, art, America and art. Like, you're not a popular artist unless you made it in America. You can be selling out arenas in the UK, in the goddamn Asian parts of the world and stuff, but nobody gives a shit unless you get a little Grammy over here in the US.
Well, and it's like you read about, like, back in the day, like, Blur toured America when they were still doing, like, Stone Roses kind of music. Yeah. They toured America, and so, like, this is like Manchester, EMF, Stone Roses, Happy Mondays kind of like British indie rock to do X2, basically. Yeah. And, like, they're touring in America at the height of the grunge. Yeah. And nobody's liking them. They're getting booed off the stage. And, like, apparently, like, that's part of why they did Britpop when they went back to Britain, is because they were so, like, angry at America and, like, resented America so much. And even, like, when you read about KMFDM, like, supposedly, like, some of the stuff on, like, Naive and Angst is about, like, they toured America the first time, and they encountered evangelicals and were like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, seriously.
But the Fame Monster.
Yeah, the Fame Monster. It's fantastic. I love...
It is her best album.
I love every bit of it.
To me. I will say, like, I'm not crazy about Alejandro.
Really? I love that track.
Alejandro reminds me a little bit of...
Sounds like some Jennifer Lopez shit.
Yeah, and it reminds me a bit of...
Or Shakira.
It reminds me a bit of, like, some of the stuff I wasn't crazy about on the Fame. Like, there's a slight... There's a slight kind of pop reggae thing going on there that I'm not crazy about. Although I will say, like, the bad French accent she does at the beginning.
Yeah. Dude, that's a thing.
I love her, like, bad accents. Like, yeah. It's great.
Dude, I like it when she does that shit, because it's like, fuck it, if I suck at it, I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, I don't speak German, but I can if you want me to. Yeah!
Yeah, and then that whole track, when we get to it, that whole track is just, like, fake German.
Yeah, oh my god, dude. But Bad Romance I really did, because that started the the fun thing to do, like, if you want it to sound like a Lady Gaga song, just make noises. Moo wah
Seriously,
roopa
like,
dooba.
ooh, la, ra, ra, ra.
Yeah. Oh, but one thing I forgot to mention on the song Just Dance,
Oh, yeah.
off of The Fame, is just like with Poker Face, where you can change it to where it sounds like she's saying fuck her face.
Yeah.
It sounds like, excuse me, sounds like she's saying just dance. I gotta do just.
That I didn't think of it that way, but like when I was saying like little things that annoy me on that album, like Just Dance, do 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 do, that's annoying to me.
Yeah, like there's too many like quit giving me these filler lyrics.
And like I can't even say that like I just talked about Blur, you know, I can't even say like filler lyrics are bad because like Blur are a band who like put la la la's and na na na's in like
Yeah, they made a massive
other track
hit
they
off of a
wrote.
song that goes woo hoo.
Yeah. Their only American hit besides
Oh my
Crazy
God,
Beat.
seriously. But yeah, anyway, Bad Romance starts off the whole, if you wanted to sound like Gaga, just make some wild noises. Moonga rooga dooga. But Monster, I
Watch
really...
your Bad Romance.
Yeah, watch rum ha.
From Ham.
Yeah, rum ham. Mike Chungo rum ham.
We love Lady Gaga, y'all, but we just think she's funny sometimes.
But yeah, I really do like Monster. With the we might have
Travis, you're the worst Lady Gaga fans on the internet.
You say what?
You're the worst Lady Gaga fans on the internet.
Yeah, worst Lady Gaga fans on the internet. I
Like,
don't know. There were some
David
weirdo
was
motherfuckers when Born This Way came out. There was some weirdo motherfuckers.
I can imagine.
Oh man.
Well, I mean, like her whole gimmick, and we haven't really talked about it in the first. We haven't really talked about it yet, but like in those first few years, like her gimmick was like she was basically like pop music's female Marilyn Manson.
There was a thing like that. Yeah, she was but like yeah, her gimmick was like wild. I remember most people bitched about her more about her look as opposed to her music. I've known more people to be like, "Man, Lady Gaga sucks. Did you see what she was wearing last night?"
Yeah.
I've heard more people bitch about that than her songs. I'm like, well, you know, do you remember some of the crap that Elton John used to wear? You know?
Do you remember Marilyn Manson, you know, prancing about on stage in the I almost said My Chemical Romance, in the Mechanical Animals era with like the blue stripe around his eyes and like wearing the satanic turkey outfit?
I mean, really, like...
And like 5-inch heels, you know?
Yeah, you're gonna tell me Marilyn Manson looks cool, but the stuff Lady Gaga wearing is garbage, like...
Remember Prince going to the Grammys in '91 in fucking assless chaps?
I mean, for real.
You know? And like the thing is, like, I haven't read the news reports on it, but I'm sure Marilyn Manson like was not happy with being compared to her because, like, we already know from mutilation is the most sincere form of flattery that Marilyn Manson does not take kindly to anybody saying that they've been influenced by him.
Yeah, I sure believe Manson doesn't like that at all. But it's like, you know what, Marilyn Manson, you haven't really been relevant for 20 years now, man.
Well, it's like you said at one point, you know, with like him dissing My Chemical Romance. How dare you, like, go after a band who are better than you at that point in time.
Yeah, like, I mean, fuck.
And who are less whiny than he is on that album.
Yeah, when you take My Chemical Romance and their stereotypical emo shit and compare it to that Marilyn Manson album, Eat Me, Drink Me, it's like, wow. Manson, you sound... What's worse is Marilyn Manson is much older than those guys at this time. You know, like, Marilyn Manson is in, like, his late 30s at that point. And you're whining...
He's going after them who are like probably about my age now.
Yeah, seriously, like, dude, Marilyn.
Like, in their early to mid-20s, and, like, this, like, grown 30s, 35, 36, 38-year-old man is going after them.
Yeah, dude, oh my god. But yeah, this was a point. Then also too, like, Lady Gaga is the mother monster, and while all of her fans are called little monsters. Oh.
Do you think people still do that shit? Do you think people still, like, come up with, like, odd little names for their fandoms?
Some kind of do, and others don't. Like, I know Miley Cyrus's fans call themselves Smileys. And there was a big, like, Instagram movement of the Smileys hating on Wayne Coyne from Flaming Lips because they just believe they ruined Miley Cyrus. Which, in my opinion...
I think that kind of goes both ways. Like, you can look at that and be like, Wayne Coyne ruined Miley Cyrus. You can also look at the Flaming Lips and be like, Miley Cyrus kind of ruined the Flaming Lips for a little minute too.
That was an odd time for.
I don't necessarily believe that, but you could say that.
That was an odd time for two very vastly different artists.
Yes.
But not gonna lie, they helped Miley Cyrus put out the only album of hers I will ever own.
So, Bad Romance is, of course, classic.
Yeah. The beats are better.
Alejandro, I'm not a big fan of, but it's a classic too.
Yeah.
But, like, to me, like, kind of the standouts on here, like, the ones that really made me go, like, what? Was Speechless.
Yeah, Speechless is really good.
Like, that one, like, because, like, I don't think I had ever realized before, and this is why, like, with a lot of these retrospectives, I'm glad that we do them, because, like, there are artists, like, I probably would have never fully listened to all of the, I own, like, Lady Gaga, I own everything up to Art Pop. I probably would never have fully listened to any of them if we hadn't done this. But I'm glad it's like, I never realized that Lady Gaga had such like a rock kick.
Yeah.
On her deep cuts and album tracks. Because obviously I knew Joanne was in that direction, but I didn't realize that she had been doing that pretty much from the start.
Yeah, there was a major rock kick on a few tracks on Born This Way as well. And this, and, but yeah. My favorite track on here is Teeth. Take a bite of my bad girl meat.
That's one of those lyrics where I'm like, on the one hand, I can look at that and be like, yeah, that's a fun lyric, but on the other hand, there's a part of me that's like, that is such a, like, that is so 2009. You know?
Like, what I want to know is what she considers her bad girl meat. Like, are we talking toes, forehead, shoulder? Like, what is your bad girl meat that you want me to bite?
Yeah, that was like, that's a good track too.
It's got a cool bluesiness to it, like this fucking juke, like an electric juke joint.
Like, there's almost like when I said that, before we started rolling, I was saying that, like, when you get to Joanne, you know, Josh Homme's on there, and, like, something like Teeth, that's like, tone down the dirtiness just a little bit, and that's almost something that you could be on a Queens of the Stone Age album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Add in a cool little stoner guitar solo in there somewhere.
Yeah, I can definitely hear that.
So the song that of hers that I guess was a hit, but I don't really remember it, is Telephone.
Yeah, Telephone was massive, and it was mostly because of Beyonce and the music video.
Because, like, Beyonce at this point was like in 2020, like, both Lady Gaga and Beyonce are, like, almost, like, headed towards being elder stateswomen of pop,
Mm-hmm.
But, like, in 2009, it was more like an established artist, like, sort of tipping her hat to an up-and-comer, because Beyonce's been around since, like, the 90s, which I always forget.
Yeah, dude, like, I always forget about Destiny's Child until, like, I hear them, and I'm like, oh, yeah, that was a Beyonce thing. Wait, there was other girls with her?
Started in, like, 2003.
Yeah, seriously.
And, like, Beyonce's one of those artists where, like, I don't really necessarily consider myself a fan. I own a lot of her stuff because I keep finding it in Goodwill for $1,
Yeah, fuck it.
But she's one of those artists where, like, I hate to say it, but it took her about 10 years. Well, not 10 years. It took her about 7 to 8 years to make a good album.
Oh, yeah?
Because, like, her 2000s stuff is, like, you've got some great singles on there, but, like, the albums do not hold up. But, like, when you get to the 2010s, like, and I think that's what that one's called. The one from 2011, and the self-titled in 2013, and then Lemonade. Those are pretty good albums. But it took her a minute. It took her about 4 to 5 albums to put out something where I can be like, I could listen to this the whole way through.
Damn.
So, and then Dance in the Dark. Let me put that on for a minute. Okay, that's just good Lady Gaga on autopilot.
Yeah.
That kind of sounds like what Born This Way was going to sound like.
Yeah. And I don't know I guess she has different producers and shit here, but the beats are way fucking better on here than the fucking Fame.
Yeah, they are. The producer for the title track, Alejandro and Bad Romance, is some Swedish pop guy called Red One.
Red One.
And he's on most of the album, and I mean, on So Happy I Could Die, good old Space Cowboy, whoever he is, comes back.
Yeah, who the fuck is? Let me look this guy up real quick. Space Cowboy. I remember there was a band, my dad had a couple of their CDs called Galactic Cowboys. Better known by his stage name, Space Cowboy. He's a French-British singer-songwriter, DJ, and producer, born in France and raised in England. He first recorded in '92 under the names of Vibes and DJ Apex, releasing breakbeat hardcore tracks. Where can I find this?
I know Jamiroquai have a song or an album called Spaced Cowboy, but
where can I find this? I want to hear this guy's hardcore breakbeat tracks. Like, that would be badass. Like, this guy had a Chemical Brothers kick. He might have fucking hung. Maybe he's got all the Crystal Method albums in his bedroom. Maybe he likes some Fatboy Slim.
Basement Jaxx drew him as an inspiration. Drew him as an inspiration when they were making their classic album.
Where's your head at?
But apparently, I'm looking at the production credits on Wikipedia, and so who is that? So Telephone had some producers who have worked with Beyonce and Michael Jackson and Jennifer Lopez.
Rodney Darkchild Jerkins. What the fuck? I love that guy's name.
I love that stage name. Yeah.
Rodney Darkchild Jerkins.
That's almost like an old like Southern blues name.
Yeah, seriously, that is a motherfucking Delta blues name all the way. I could see that one be.
Yeah.
I could see that one being on that fucking Metalocalypse episode. Yeah, this guy was Rodney Darkchild Jerkins. Oh fuck.
But anyway, on the Wikipedia, you scroll up and it says the impact of the Fame Monster was observed in the subsequent musical releases of artists such as Beyonce and Katy Perry.
Ugh.
And like, I can kind of hear that,
How her style kind of leaked into those other guys.
Yeah, like not just like her musical style, but like the like you gotta be really weird. Like you gotta have like
yeah, there was that moment where
dogs,
Katy Perry.
You gotta have dogs with salmon heads running through celestial playgrounds in the sky, and children with bullhorns for faces are singing out your jam,
Yeah, because, like, there was that time when Beyonce was straight up throwing satanic imagery up, and Katy Perry was doing some weird shit with her image, too.
And you want to know the crazy thing, and I don't think I've ever really talked about this before, is that, like, I forget that artists have music videos anymore.
Yeah, like, I rarely watch them.
Because, like, MTV no longer plays... There's no longer a TV channel where you can go and watch music videos. And, like, it's like, I've got better things to be doing on YouTube. So unless I am, like, putting together a like, top 10 albums of whatever, and I need some, like, basically filler visuals. Like, I never watched the music videos.
I feel you there.
But, like, no, there's a lot of like weird imagery. Like, Kanye had some music videos that have some really strange imagery in them.
He did have some killer music videos for a second there. Like that one that's just like backing up and like you're just seeing more and more. Now that was a great video to watch.
Yeah, I can imagine. Like, well, even, like, when you get to, like, Black Skinhead, which is basically, like, The Beautiful People by way of Kanye. That had a pretty cool video. But, like, that quirky, like, weirdo, like, what have you, that was, like, everywhere in the pop world for, like, 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
And I feel like eventually, like, it crashed, and, like, that's when your, like, Lords and your whoever else is, like, big in pop right now, or was big in, like, 2017 and 18, like, kind of crept into the picture. Like, nowadays, like, we seem to be headed back onto that, like, retro future dance pop train again.
Yeah, because right now a lot of popular shit is the synth wave and dark wave bands, and like a lot of people are just trying to sound like the Stranger Things theme. And then certain artists,
and, like,
a couple of years ago, really
Harley
started
Rae Jepsen, circa 2015.
Yeah, a lot of artists like started this just a couple of years ago, like Paramore, straight up doing 80s throwbacks, like fucking damn.
I forget they still exist.
Yeah. I never checked them out, but I was like, when they did that poppy 80s track sounding a couple years ago, I was like, I can dig that.
Like when Todd and the Shadows covered what that awful Taylor Swift song that had what is his name? Panic at the Disco guy on it.
I always a lot of people
be
saying I look like him. When I'm like in my full garb, man, with the top hat, the suits and shit.
Well, you look like him in that one music video.
Right? Like...
Where he's kicking down the door with, like, his red suit and the tie. I can't think of his name, but, like, I when Todd and the Shadows covered that, I was like, I forget that, like, Panic at the Disco exists, because, like, after they did Pretty Odd, they, like, just disappeared for a minute. And eventually they came back, but, like, by that time I was into other music, you know, and I wasn't hearing the radio anymore, so I didn't hear anything after that.
True.
So, like, how would you rate
the
Fame Monster?
Since the Fame Monster is an EP, it's a very substantial EP. It's at 34 minutes, so it's about as long as most standard albums, you know, fucking... It's...
Every Beatles album.
Yeah, easily. So, since it's an EP, I normally do my EPs 1 to 5, since they're always like a half album. So, you know, like when I rate an album, 5 would just be complete average, whereas 5 on an EP is full on the best. And I can give this a 5 for an EP because it's very substantial. It doesn't wear out its welcome, and all the tracks are interesting enough. Like, I would say I could knock a point off for Beyonce, but her part is very short and doesn't bother me all that much. So yeah, I can give this one.
Her part is good.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, it's not amazing. Like, there are, like, the guy I always point to is Kanye for this, because, like, Kanye has some tracks, especially on what he was releasing around the time this came out. He will have some tracks where he will take people who I cannot stand, and he will make them sound good. Like Nicki Minaj sounds great on one of his albums. Rick Ross sounds good on one of his albums.
Ooh.
The Bon Iver guy, who I cannot stand. I do not like Bon Iver at all. Sounds amazing when he's on Kanye albums.
Wow.
So it's like sometimes like you can get people who will do good features. I will say this about Kanye: he cannot make Lil Wayne sound good.
I don't think anybody can.
Lil Wayne can, like, sometimes when he wants to, but he doesn't want to very often.
Yeah,
that's a dude who figured out very early in his career that he could phone it in and people would still love it either way. And so he has basically done nothing but phone it in.
Yeah.
So I rate the Fame Monster, you know, I would write as an EP, you know, I hate to be that a-hole who's like doing the like decimal stuff. It's definitely, it's a 4.5. As an album, I give it a 9. You know, because it's her best one to me. Like, this is the only one of hers I can put on and like never be bored by.
Yeah.
Like, my attention never drifts away. I'm never in the mood to, like, go listen to something else. Because, like, I'm not going to lie, I love Born This Way. But that can be a problem on Born This Way. You know, it's the old attention span sort of failing on me.
Yeah.
So 2 years later.
Yeah, let me take a piss.
At least a year and a half.
Let me take a piss and smoke a cigarette real quick. Okay, what's up everybody? I had to take a break. I needed to get some of that sweet, sweet lung fuel.
So this is... So Born This Way, this is not quite 2 years later. Came out May of 2011.
Yeah.
And this is, out of her actual, like, studio albums, this is the best one to me.
Yeah, me too. Out of the actual studio albums, this is my favorite. And it's one, really the only one, where I don't really dislike a single track on here.
Yeah, I can mostly agree with that. Like, the one thing, like, I do want to say, this has one of the dumbest album covers.
Oh God, it is awful.
Like, it is like, and I love that because, like, you don't get that kind of, like, awful album cover from a huge artist, like an artist who is like this album was massive. Like, you could not escape Lady Gaga in 2011.
Yeah, this was definitely the height of her popularity.
Absolutely. Like, this album, I'm just looking at, again, I'm reading off, this is off the Wikipedia. This album debuted in the top 5 spots of every major music chart worldwide.
Damn.
And it sold more than 1 million copies in the first week, which, you know, by 2010 standards, that's incredible, you know?
Definitely.
You know, it's crazy when
If
you
this
go
was
back to the
96, if this was 96 and it sold 1 million copies, it would be a failure.
Exactly. Like, you look at like the 96, like the peak years when the record, you know, the ponytailed record industry executives were like snorting cocaine off of hookers' breasts in the boardrooms and just like Olympic swimming through pools full of just cash. You know, a million in sales in 95 is like a catastrophic failure.
Yeah.
Hell, like, if you're a top shelf major label artist, like 3 or 4 million in sales would be a miserable failure in the 90s.
Yeah, oh my God. And you know,
like,
it's crazy because when you look at, like, take One Hot Minute from Chili Peppers, it still sold several million copies, but was looked at as a failure. And I'm like, really? Like, man, you guys should take a look through the future and see what happens to your precious business.
Exactly. It's like numbers that were considered dismal in the mid to late 90s are like, record executives would kill for those kind of numbers today.
Yeah. Now they're trying to find ways to, like, count stream plays, and it's like, they call it album units or some shit. It is so weird.
Album equivalent. It is weird. Yeah. So it's like, you could not escape this in 2011. And this is like with that Lana Del Rey episode, we said that, like, 2011 to 2012 is like the peak of the indie. That indie hipster sound that was around at the time.
Yeah.
It is also the peak of the club.
Definitely. Because we have Lord on the horizon. We have, Lana Del Rey's coming.
2011 and 2012 are littered with all of these no-name one-hit wonders who were, like, pushed super hard because people are like, this is going to be the new sound. Like, remember, I don't know how you actually pronounce his name, but I like to jokingly pronounce his name as Gautier.
Yeah, Gautier or Gautier.
Yeah, the guy who did the "Somebody I Used to Know" song.
Yeah,
with Kira,
that was awesome.
or even Fun.
Yeah,
Fun were one of those bands.
Yeah, and damn, that album is fantastic.
I cannot stand the lead singles, but like the rest of the album's good. It's fun.
I didn't like Tonight all that much, but the one after that where you have the like, for instance, how you use auto-tune right. It was basically an auto-tune solo, like, instead of a guitar solo.
We didn't even talk about that on the Fame.
Yeah, because you had mentioned the Fame has some like bad auto-tune.
Auto-tune. Still there?
Yeah.
The Fame has like awful auto-tune on it.
Like which track? Because I'm having a hard time remembering.
I can't remember either. It might be Starstruck. That's the one.
You're right. Oh god, that is bad. And the rapping on that song is dog shit.
Oh my god, yeah. Well, it's Flow Rida. What do you expect? But like to like with Fun, you know, like Kanye did the same thing on My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. I forget which track, but there's a song where there's like he's using the auto-tune basically to make a guitar solo.
Yeah, and that's cool as shit to me. To me, I've always said there's 3 ways to use auto-tune and only 1 way to use it interesting. Because you can either, like most rappers and shit, you can use it to disguise your shitty singing voice. And that's not a good way to use it. And then there's instances where artists who actually can sing use it just because it's there, and it's like, why are you doing this? You're already good at singing. And I'm gonna have to reiterate, there's actually 4 ways you can use auto-tune. And one is interesting and good, while the other ones are bad, but there's also one that is fine. There are artists who will use auto-tune as a joke. For instance, The Offspring on their Bumpin' in My Trunk song, you know, they're just using it as a joke. Alice Cooper using it on Welcome to My Nightmare 2, using it as a joke. And fucking on the newest Tenacious D album, there's a song where Jack Black uses it, and it's fucking hilarious.
Well, I think as long as you're like
self-aware,
semi-deliberately, like somebody like Kanye using it on his one, like the album that's basically spawned emo rap, you know. He was using it as a way to like convey like alienation and like serious problems, like mental health issues. But like when people around like 2008, 2009, 10, 11, like people were just using auto-tune because it was the trendy thing.
Yeah. And
that's what I don't like.
Yeah, but you can use it as its own instrument, like Fun did on that one track, where you can use this as an added layer to the music, as opposed to just a way to manipulate your voice.
And it's like, there's almost 5 ways to use auto-tune, because like if you use auto-tune right, you don't even know it's being used.
Yeah. Because, like, when I think of auto-tune, I'm always thinking of that shaky vocal that...
the robot voice, yeah.
Need on some auto-tune. I need my auto-tune. That Cher used on Do You Believe in Life After Love? Kid Rock used it on. These are like early instances. I think Cher was the first one to ever use this in a song. But then it's all over Only God Knows Why from Kid Rock, and it is bad. And then Daft Punk use it on their what was that song, man? The little disco track, the new disco track on Discovery. Oh, what is that song called?
They use it a little bit on Random Access Memories.
Yeah.
But it's Daft Punk, so it works because they're robots.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I let them get away with it.
like that's their gimmick is that they're robots, you know?
Yeah, I'm totally behind it with Daft Punk. Because it makes sense. There's a reason for it to be there. You're robots. You don't have normal voices.
It's funny because like I was to get back to the thing about videos, you know, I was watching, I don't remember what it was, and like some Daft Punk videos came up, and I got to Technologic, and I'm like, this video is scary as hell. Like if you saw that as a little kid, that would be really creepy. Love the song though. So, Born to Die. This is her biggest album. You know, this is.
You said Born to Die.
Fucking A.
Anyway, keep going.
You know the funny thing is, like, when we were doing the Lana Del Rey retrospective, I had to like concentrate to keep from saying "Born This Way."
That's hilarious.
It's like they blend together in my head.
Yeah.
So, like we were saying, like complete saturation. Like you could not escape this album. I feel bad for anybody who like hated Lady Gaga in 2011.
Yeah, because that's all you're gonna be seeing.
That's like it would work its way into things that like it did not belong in. You know, like I remember watching some dude's weird YouTube animation, because that was in the era when you used to have weird YouTube animations, and somehow Judas was in there.
Yeah.
I have no idea how. So like what I love about this album is like there's a big disco kick to it. There's a big dance element to it. There's almost an industrial pop quality to it as well.
Exactly. There's a industrial pop to it, and I love the little more focus on house beats. And it's just more. It feels more of like an electronica kind of pop album than the club shit.
Because there was what this reminds me of is that there was this moment, and you know, you're obviously a huge fan of this moment in time, as am I. There was a moment in the late '80s when like electronic music and hip hop and pop and what eventually turned into industrial metal were all like converging on one moment for like 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
So you would have like Janet Jackson and people like that having industrial elements in their top 40 pop. You would have industrial music having hip hop and pop hooks in it.
Yeah.
And you would have rap and electronic music almost being like walking hand in hand until the whole Bismarcky Gilbert O'Sullivan case put the kibosh on that. And this album reminds me a lot of those, like, it reminds me a lot of those, like, golden age, you know, like, where you would have, like, I was playing, my buddy Lou, I sent him a clip of, I think it's Murder from UAIOE. And he was like, why does this KMFDM album sound like the beats could have been on Janet Jackson's 1989 album?
Seriously.
And like that's what like that's why I love that time period. And this kind of reminds me of that, you know?
Yeah, because this There's like top 40 pop, there's a little rock and roll, there's just a lot going on in this album. There's house music, there's yeah, a lot of shit happening. You know what's funny is when this album came out, I was heavily on Ebum's World. I was looking at videos on Ebum's World all the time. And like I said, there was weirdo fans of Gaga coming out of the woodwork.
I believe it.
Yeah, dude, there was one lady.
I believe it.
There was one lady who, straight up conservative Christian girl, just writing Lady Gaga off, talking about first the song Judas. She's gonna say she's in love with Judas, the man who betrayed Jesus. I mean, I just can't do it. It is so ungodly. And the album cover, she is morphing into a motorcycle. That is evolution. I'm like, wow. Wow.
And in the book of Ecclesiastes, number 1422, it says, "Thou shalt not become a motorcycle, because the motorcycle is an unclean beast born of Satan."
Seriously, oh my god. But yeah, I'm not too fond of the album cover either, chick, but I mean, you know, that's
and
gonna...
I believe it, man, because like she was doing so much weird stuff, like, and like her music, like her image and her music videos were so out there, and her fans, like I could see it getting like creepy, you know. I do have a funny story about this album. I bought this in 2018. I bought this in early 2018 after having heard most of the tracks, and I found it. I found this in Art Pop for like $3 each.
Awesome.
So I take it home and I put it on, and when it gets to the end of Government Hooker,
right?
And it's "Don't bleep with me, Government Hooker," I'm like, oh no, I bought the edited version. So I just put the album aside because, like, we've both talked about this. When you get the edited version, it's like, you're dead to me.
You are nothing.
Like, yeah, exactly. And then a couple years later, I'm like, I really don't want to, or not even a couple years, a couple months later, I'm like, I really do not want to rebuy this album. So I look into it. There is no explicit version of it.
Yeah, which trips me out, because on the song Bad Kids, there's a straight up... This is what's making me wonder. On Bad Kids, there's straight up editing in there, where they do that kind of noise to cover up bitch, and then something else. And I'm like, okay, from all the stories I've heard about Government Hooker, that makes sense. But why are we cutting words out of Bad Kids? Like, is there possibly, like, a non-edited where you still get the bleep in Hooker, but you get the bitch in Bad Kids? Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Well, and it's especially confusing to me because, like, she went so over the board on the dirtiness on her next album.
Yeah.
Like, and like, but like, you even get that. I forgot to mention this. You even get that on the Fame Monster. Like, there's a repeating lyric of like, "I'm a free bitch," but she doesn't finish the word bitch. It's like, "I'm a free bit."
Oh no, for real.
That's on like 2 or 3 different songs on there.
There is I have the unedited version of that. I had to get the MP3 version off of Amazon because I noticed a lot of people in the review section on the Amazon version saying this shit is edited. And they were saying, it still says explicit, but it's edited. So what I do now is if I think there's a problem, I'll go to YouTube because nobody ever puts the edited version on YouTube.
Yeah.
And so I checked it out, and it's on the song Monster. It's when there's all the one on the song Monster when she's like, we might have fucked something, blah blah blah. That shit's cut out too. So I looked it up, and yeah, there is an unedited version. So, but I don't think I've really seen any picture-wise that have a parental advisory sticker. So I got I went and got the MP3 version. And
what I'm seeing on Discogs is that the only North American explicit version is the MP3.
Wow, what the fuck?
Because I guess Europe got the explicit versions, but I mean, they're supposed to be more cultured than we are, so...
But also, what trips me out is Kesha be doing the same thing, alright? I was never a big Kesha fan until I heard her do them couple songs with Eagles of Death Metal, and I was like, these are good. So I checked out more songs from Rainbow, and I'm like, damn, I might have to buy this. I bought it. I like a good 3/4 of that album. And
I remember that.
Yeah, and she's straight up cussing all over the place. Well, just about a month or so ago, I went ahead and I bought her brand new album, or High Road or whatever, and I actually dig the shit out of it. But she kind of edits words out, but in the very same song says the same word that she's editing. For instance, on the first track, she says, she goes to say the word fuck, and you only get the F sound, but the next verse right after that, she straight up says the word fuck. But then the rest of the album, she is saying fuck and shit all over the place. Like even one where she says, and I love singing fucking all my songs. Like, no edits. Like, are you doing this on purpose?
Say fuck 93 times.
Right, dude. I'm like, what are you doing? What is the purpose of this? And it's got a parental advisory. And so I went on YouTube looking around to see if there's any non-edited versions. Straight up, they're all like that. And then I found her album Animal, at her first album at a Goodwill, and I was like, I know I'm not gonna like this album, but it's only $1.
That's the way to get some cashless from Goodwill.
Exactly. I'm like, I know I'm not gonna like this shit, but it's $1. Fuck it. I bought it, and she's cussing a little bit on there, but then there's also the shit where it's like, she goes to say shit, and you get that kind of fucking noise. I'm like, what? What are you doing? What are you doing? So I go on YouTube, look it up, they're all the same. I'm like, why? Why is this? So yeah.
It's like, what blows me away is like, I was thinking about this the other day, and it's like, this is like the last moment in time that like this was 2011, 2012, 2013. That was like the last moment where like the moral majority in America was like vocal enough, like there were enough people around who would still get bent out of shape over that sort of thing. Like, and even then it was starting to fade out. Like the title track of the album is a like blatant LGBTQ anthem.
Yeah.
And I remember some people got pissy over that, but like most people were just like, yeah, good. Sure.
Yeah.
So like people like most people I knew were like, who were even aware of it were like, good for her, And I will say like the title track is like, I know gay people who love the Born This Way song. I know gay people who think it's the worst thing ever recorded,
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I love the shit out of it.
my thing with the Born This Way song is I cannot ever listen to it without hearing, make him express himself, baby, take your love to the top, you know. Like, I hear the Madonna track.
Yeah, I can never hear this song without hearing, I'm Frankenstein, I'm Avatar.
Well, it's like I got both of those going on, too. Like, what Weird Al says on Perform This Way, those are some of his funniest lyrics.
It is so goddamn funny.
They really are.
Then on the video, they have his head sort of like just put on this lady's body. Really funny.
And the funny thing is, like, his head on the body kind of looks like Lady Gaga, too.
Yeah, that's so funny. And you know what's crazy is we almost didn't get that song.
Yeah, because there was some.
The label was like, nah, fuck that. But
and then Lady Gaga herself had to intervene.
Yeah, she straight up said, no, this is good. Fucking do it. And sadly is I don't think without that Lady Gaga parody, I don't think that album would have been the hit that it was.
It probably wouldn't have been, but I will say this: I love that album's polka medley.
Oh yeah, dude. The thing is I love all the Weird Al polka medleys because the parodies on his albums bring you are a nice time capsule that bring you to the time that album came out, roughly 3 or 4 years.
Are.
But when you get the polka medley, he throws so many songs in that you forgot existed, and you're like, oh fuck, I remember this, and oh fuck, I remember this.
Well, you want to know the crazy thing is, like, I bought Kid Cudi's first album late last year, because like he's done some stuff that's really cool, and I wanted to, I got into that, and he does. Kid Cudi's the guy who did that day and night. The lonely loner sits and frees his mind at night, and I was like, oh my god, I forgot this song existed.
Yeah,
you know?
Seriously.
Because I remember the Weird Al version. But, like, no, I love that Perform This Way. I loved the there's a specific line in there that I think is amazing. No reason I should regret all the attention I get. I'm not completely crazy. I perform this way. And then at the end, I perform this way. I'm always deviating from the norm this way.
Yeah, dude. The lyrics are so clever in that fucking song, man. Oh my god.
Yeah, and it's so the original Born This Way is sort of diminished to me because, like, I have Express Yourself, which is, for the record, is my favorite Madonna song.
It's definitely up there with me. Definitely.
Like, it's top 3.
Yeah.
Like, most days it is my favorite Madonna song. And it's, weirdly enough, it's from the only 80s album of hers I don't own.
Oh.
You know? But, so that's good. And then Government Hooker is like, we were talking about KMFDM. It kind of reminds me of, like, some KMFDM when they were a little more pop.
When that guy goes, what, get up and turn around, like, it straight up reminds me of some KMFDM. Like, especially, like, 1997 KMFDM, like, when you get to, like, the Symbols album or the Adios album, like, it reminds me a lot of that style.
But did KMFDM eventually, like, start messing with female vocals?
Yeah, they
prominently as like a lead vocalist, as
from UAIOE.
Soulful electronica vocals.
Yeah, UAIOE was the first one to add some female vocals, and then they added more and more as the albums went along. And it was like when Money and Naive was happening, and Nil, when, like, the female vocals became a major staple. But what's crazy is, like, they could never really keep the same ladies on multiple albums until they broke up and did MDFMK and got Lucia in there, and she's been the main female vocalist ever since. Hell, she's married to Sasha K, so fucking she ain't going nowhere anytime soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, and it works, man. They're one of the few, like, in bands of the industrial era that did something like that, where they had a male voice and a female voice.
Well, what I love about KMFDM is that, like, no matter how metal they got, they were always a dance band. It was the ultra heavy beat.
Always.
Like, you can put on Extort or some of their comebacks stuff. You could dance to Extort.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like they had
and, like, that's
everything I liked in electronic and industrial music, like, all wrapped into one.
Yeah. And for this album for a pop album in 2011 to remind me of, like, some, like, 90s KMFDM, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Cause, like, what's so crazy is some of these songs are, like, kinda heavy. Not like heavy metal heavy, but like how heavy electronic music can get. Like Judas, man, god damn, the fucking music on Judas is straight fucking like industrial rave kind of shit.
Yeah, it is.
Like, it is badass to me. I'm like, fuck yeah, man, with a Judah, Judas, Judah, Judas, Judah, Judas, Judas, Gaga, dun, 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 dun. That shit's bad as fuck.
Well, even like Scheisse, you know?
Yeah, motherfucking, how is it spelled on yours?
It has the asset.
Cause mine looks like
the thing. It looks like a deformed B, but it's an S.
And so that's how you spell Scheisse?
It can be. I don't know that she's. It's been a minute. I don't know if she's spelling it correctly. Like,
I don't speak German, but I can if you want me to.
Exactly.
Oh!
Yeah.
I can't spell German, but I can if you pretend. Oh!
But yeah, like exactly. The asset is what that symbol is called. It looks like a deformed B, but it's the long S.
I keep wanting to call it Chablis.
I know, like it takes some doing to,
it hurts.
Like, not immediately associate that with a B in your head.
It hurts my eyes because I'm seeing all these other letters that I'm used to seeing, but then I see this thing and I'm like, it's like when you're looking at, like, Russian spelling, that shit hurts my eyes. I'm like, what?
Well, that Cyrillic is so hard because, like, they'll have the same character, but it doesn't mean the same sound, and it's so Scheisse is spelled correctly.
Ah.
And it's shit in German.
Yes, in mein Scheisse.
Yeah. And like we were saying earlier, I love the, like, bad, like, fake German. Like, it even, like, turns into, like, German sounding words, but she's pronouncing them like it's French.
Yeah, oh my god. But that song hits. It motherfucking bumps, man. Like, that is my motherfucking jam. Because, like, I love Americano as well. Like, to me, the album starts off kind of okay with Marry the Night. Marry the Night is just a fun, fairly housey track. But to me, the album doesn't really get going until you get the Born This Way, then Government Hooker, then Judas. Like, right in a row, you've got 3 straight bangers, and then Americano with the fucking sort of flamenco influence in there. Loving the fuck out of that. But then Hair comes on, and Hair is pretty fucking poppy. But I dig the shit out of that one, too. Totally weird.
Yeah, I like the whole album pretty much, and you're definitely, like, this album bumps.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna say that this album bumps hard.
If you like some bumpin' ass electronica music, like, and don't mind a lady singing over it, this is up your fucking alley. This is some good shit.
And like the thing that like when we were talking about KMFDM is like there was a time when like soulful, almost like gospel female vocals were everywhere in electronic music.
Definitely.
Like, you could not listen to some 90s dance or house, I mean, like, early 90s dance and house without hearing some, like, oh, yeah! Like, and, like, it can be really jarring. Like, you'll be hearing this bump and dance beat and these soulful, like, gospel voices come out of the mix, and it kind of throws you back, you know?
Yeah.
That's why I kind of like it on KMFDM, is that it felt like KMFDM recognized that that was kind of a ridiculous trope.
Yeah.
Like they always felt to me like they were like, Sasha K and NS recognized that, like, industrial music is kind of silly, so let's roll with it.
Yeah, that's a major thing I love about KMFDM, is how self-aware of the genre and themselves they are. Like, I mean, they straight up will give you the same album again, and straight up say they're giving you the same album again, and I mean, like, and they glorify it, and it's awesome. Like, I'm like, I'll allow it, man. I'll allow it.
I mean, what is it like? Our music is manufactured totally fake. It's made by machines because they don't make mistakes.
Yeah, I fucking love that line, man. Just being like,
the only thing on this, on Born This Way, I'm not crazy about. I'm not the biggest fan of Highway Unicorn.
I like that. Okay, yeah.
But, like, that's, you know, it's like I said on that track in Fame Monster. That's because it's this album's token Lady Gaga on autopilot track.
Yeah, like,
but it's good.
Yeah, it's a later track that I guess isn't meant to really do much. I mean, for a 14-track album, I am rarely finding myself getting bored. Whereas The Fame is a straight-up 14-track album where by track 7, I am done.
And when you get to Art Pop, by the time you get to track 4, you are done.
Oh, but then I really like Bloody Mary. It's a little slower, but still really good and beaty. Bad Kids I like okay. Highway Unicorn is okay. Heavy Metal Lover is silly. But I like it.
It is very silly, but the beat slaps.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like, if I'm not into what she's saying, like, on this album, at least the beats, the music is pretty rad. Electric Chapel I like.
Yeah.
Now, the track You and I. Now, a lot of fucking people talk about how Born This Way sounds too much like Express Yourself by Madonna, but nobody brings either of these two moments up. So, allow me. On Government Hooker, there's a middle part that sounds like a complete ripoff of New Order's Blue Monday. It starts doing...
right.
Straight up doing the music and the lyrical tone with the how does it feel, and she's going na 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 when it goes and I thought you were mistaken or whatever fuck, like,
you're right.
She is straight up taking that, and I think nobody says anything because it's not the whole song, like, she's just using a snippet, but
and I'm sure that's deliberate.
Yeah, it's gotta be, because she mentioned when this album was coming out that this album was inspired by rock and dance music from all times. So I can see what she's doing. I'm like, you deliberately did this, maybe because you like that. So that's cool, but like nobody ever brings that up, where it straight up takes from Blue Monday, and
Blue Monday was a hit 2 times around.
yeah, because you have the great New Order version and the awesome orgy version.
Yeah, exactly. Like she could have. I mean, look at how old Lady Gaga is, because
she's my age, dude.
I was gonna say, I think she's like your age. Yeah, March of '86.
Yeah.
So like she could have heard. I'm sure she heard the amazing New Order version at some point, but she also could have heard like you said, the orgies kind of industrial.
Yeah, so she was like 12, 13 version. When Orgy dropped their version, because she's about a month younger than me.
Yeah, so it's like. Could be taken from both, but like what track is You and I ripping off?
Hey Jude.
Or I'm sorry, it's not You and I. It's got an umlaut. It's yeah and I.
Does it really have an umlaut? Oh, it does.
Have an umlaut on the U.
Why?
I mean, I don't know.
Oh, but it straight up rips off Hey Jude, but a million songs rip off that part too. The na 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 na. A
million songs rip that off.
Yeah.
And like, when she does that kind of ballad, it gives me Elton John vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with it. Because to me, that Hey Jude moment, I don't mind it when I hear it ripped off, because it's such a powerful moment all the time, where I'm like, oh damn, they're doing the Hey Jude thing, but damn it, the Hey Jude thing rocks, so I'll allow it. Ah.
And like so many bands rip off the Beatles, like the Jam.
Yeah.
Have like 4 different tracks that use the Taxman bass line. Where you'll just be listening to the Jam, you'll just hear the do.
Yeah, Chemical Brothers took it too for goddamn Surrender. How does it feel?
I thought they got sued by the Beatles because they thought they had sampled Tomorrow Never Knows.
I have no idea, but I know like that song just straight up sounds like they just sampled the Taxman.
Because there's one Chemical Brother. I know there's a Chemical Brothers song, and I think it might actually be Setting Sun. Or as one of my friends likes to call it, the only thing Noel Gallagher has ever done to justify his existence.
Yeah. Isn't it badass?
I wouldn't go that far, but like, he is amazing on Setting Sun.
I mean, really, dude.
I think it was Setting Sun where like the Beatles estate, I think, sued the Chemical Brothers because they thought that they had sampled the drum pattern for Tomorrow Never Knows.
Damn, I didn't know that.
But it just sounded that way. But I dig You and I because like we were saying the last time, she's got this classic rock energy to her.
Yeah.
That she doesn't show off that often.
And she does it well.
She does. Definitely. And then this is the album that begins the... I guess this was a Gaga tradition for 2 albums, but I think she's dropped it since, which is like, we're going to end the album on a single.
Yeah, because they do it on Applause.
Which is something that I praise, because there are so many artists, especially pop artists, who are like, first 4 tracks, all my singles.
Yeah.
The rest of the album, nothing.
Because straight up, The Fame is a major one to do that, where the first 4 tracks are the radio tracks. And, I mean, your average listener, they're turning that shit off after track 4, man. You gotta spread that shit out, yo.
Exactly. Exactly. And, The Edge of Glory is not my favorite thing from this album.
Nah.
But it's a fun little radio song. Like, this this could be this could be another podcast in and of itself. But I'll talk about this because it's really going to come into play next time. This was at the point where like commercials started to be as important as the radio for how people hear new songs. Because it was crazy, dude. Because I bought Vectimist by Grizzly Bear last summer.
Yeah.
And that, you know, you get to track 2, and it's the piano where it's like dun 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 dun, and then there's and I'm like, I remember this from a commercial in like 2010, but I had no idea it was Grizzly Bear.
Yeah, Grizzly Bear's
like,
pretty cool.
They were. Like, but this is like the Edge of Glory was in so many commercials in 2011 to 2012.
Damn, see, that's fucking... Because I haven't had cable since 2008. So, like, with commercials, I only know mostly in the past couple years when they play a little ad on YouTube or something. But I am behind.
That's how I am now.
I am behind on commercials. I remember when there was a car commercial that had a Flamin' Lips track on it about 8 maybe years ago or so. I remember Zach and Charlie bitching about it.
Which Flaming Lips track was it?
I can't remember. It was one. Oh fuck, man! I'd have to ask him, but it was a straight up Flaming Lips track. Oh, it was like I can't remember if it was.
I'll bet you it was Do You Realize?
Could be.
I'll bet you it was Do You Realize. I know damn sure they used Vampire Weekend for commercials. Because when I bought those first 2 albums, I was like, I remember this song, I remember this song.
That one, that one I heard everywhere, and I don't know where I heard it.
Even, like, some of the stuff on that second album. But, like, so like, this was a moment in time when, like, this was, like, probably, like, the most TV I've ever... Because I am not a TV person, really.
Yeah.
You know, watched a lot of TV in, like, 2010 to 2013. You know, I was a bored teenager in those days. And I remember, like, Edge of Glory's in a lot. When you get to Art Pop, Applause was in, like, car commercials for years. You know?
Damn, was it?
It was. And then, but ultimately, we got rid of we stopped watching TV about, like, 2015, and, like, got rid of our cable about, like, 2016. So, like, I'm in the same boat as you of, like, I only see the ones that pop up on YouTube.
Yeah, seriously. Or I watch a lot of that Pluto app, and commercials will play on that, but I have no clue what that shit is. But this is an album where she improves on, to me, every flaw that I have with the Fame. And like I said, even though some of the tracks I don't get into as much, they are, you know, I don't skip them. And I can enjoy this album all the way through. Even though there's a few weak tracks, so obviously it's not gonna hit a 10. But
yeah, like I was thinking just now about, like, you know, because as I think I said to you before the camera started rolling, you know, we both marathoned the Lady Gaga yesterday, and as I was listening to this, I started to get like this weird sinusy tinnitus in my right ear where, like, I was just getting that ringing and it would not stop. And, like, when it started to come on was towards the end of this album. So I was, like, not into it because I was being perturbed by whatever that was. And then eventually, like, I got 2 tracks into Art Pop, and I was like, I need to stop listening to music for today. maybe my ears are trying to tell me something.
Oh yeah, but me, what
do you rate this?
I'll give it an 8, a nice happy 8.
I can agree with that. I'll give it an 8. I can give it an 8 too.
Because
the length is a problem for me sometimes.
It is
if I'm not
pretty
feeling
long.
it, I'm not going to listen to this all the way through.
Like, yeah, what did you say? A decent house cleaning album?
I was talking about the Fame.
Yeah, see, the Fame, I am not trying to... This one, I'll jam when I'm cleaning up the house easy and enjoy myself. Whereas the Fame, I'm like, oh...
The Fame is when you're running the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, there you go. Doing the things where you're not going to hear it all that much. You're going you're going outside on your cigarette break from cleaning, or going to get the mail. You're just doing everything you can not to hear it. You're hammering shelves on the wall. You're sawing boards in half to get ready. You're just doing loud.
You're chopping wood.
Yeah, chopping wood. Anything that's louder than the album.
Cutting down the tree.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Maybe you have the weed whacker out and you're maintaining your lawn.
Yeah. Hey, what are you doing? Oh, I'm listening to the Lady Gaga's The Fame. But you're cutting your grass. Oh yeah. I'm cutting my grass too.
So I rate this an 8. This is definitely her best full album, and this is like, as you said, with the creepy fans, this is Gaga mania at its height.
Yeah.
Like this is when she is like the biggest pop star in the world, as far as like the white female pop stars go.
Yeah.
I think some other artists might have been a little bigger at this time, but like as far as like the pop divas go, like it's her and Katy Perry and Kesha somewhere way down in third place.
Oh my God.
I don't think Miley Cyrus had even I think she was around, but like I don't think Miley Cyrus had really, because I don't remember Miley Cyrus getting huge
until Bangers.
She did that. Until she did that VMA where she was grinding on Robin Thicke dressed as Beetlejuice.
Yeah. Oh, what in the world was happening? That shit. 2013, 14 feels like a bad fever dream.
Parts of it sure do.
Oh
Parts
my
of it
God.
definitely do.
I mean, even so bad to where Robin Thicke started getting all that hate, and then his wife.
Well, he got hate because he got caught with his hand on a woman's ass as a married man at an industry party.
And then he straight up does an album that is it's just an apology to his wife.
And she divorces him anyway.
Yeah, wow, dude. And nobody talks about this man at all anymore. Talk about your 15 minutes didn't even last 15 minutes.
Well, it's like Todd in the Shadows did a great probably one of his best Train records on that album.
Oh wow.
And I think he put it amazingly well, because he was. Robin Thicke just has that strange anti-charisma, where he's handsome enough to not be relatable to you, but he doesn't have the charisma to really be a star, so you're just happy to see him fail. And Todd in the Shadows was he was like Robin Thicke's fall. He connected to Ben Affleck and Gone Girl, which is hilarious because I get that of Ben Affleck is kind of like that too, of he's too attractive to relate to, but not charismatic enough to really carry things as much as he maybe did.
Oh shit. So before we get to our pop, Huh?
Yeah?
Before we get to our pop, let me smoke a cig, man. Okay, we're back from the cigarette break, and we're talking about art pop now.
2013's art pop. You know what's crazy to me? 2013 was only 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And that shit feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
Like, and like especially in the pop music world, like 2013 in music, and that's mostly like where I'm coming from here is like music wise. November 2013. This is like 6.5 years old. This feels like this album feels like it's 15 years old. Like it feels so old.
2013 was a pretty lull year for
It was an interesting year, but it was kind of a I think you're right that it was kind of a dull year for pop.
Yeah.
Because like it was an exciting year for like a lot of other music. Like that was like the last like huge rock year where like you had like Arcade Fire putting out a double album, the third Vampire Weekend album that everybody fawns over, and which I like a lot too.
There was a lot of great shit that came out that year. Queens of the Stone Age
Flaming
dropped.
Lips came back.
Yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah. To me, like Queens of the Stone Age are a band where it's like, it is so hard for me to pick my favorite.
Yeah, because every album is so different from each other, but they all keep the same aesthetic.
But like, what is the name of that? The one that in 2013? God,
Like Clockwork.
Like Clockwork. That's to me like Clockwork is top 3 Queens. Like
it
easily.
Is damn good. Like I think it's.
Like it is.
I think it's. In fact, Zach tripped me out when he said he likes it more than Villains, and I'm like, damn, because I like Villains a lot more.
I kind of like it more than Villains too, but I'll tell you why. I like Clockwork because like, as I think I said in a video I made, maybe it was my top of the decade. It puts the stoned in stoner metal.
It really does.
Or not stoner rock.
It is so dreamy, so dreamy, just floating forever.
Yeah.
And yeah, man.
I like that, but like you had
Daft Punk dropped.
Nails.
Yeah, 9 Inch Nails.
What?
9 Inch Nails dropped Hesitation Marks, which a lot of people apparently don't like it that much, but I absolutely love it.
It's one that I need to revisit it so bad because I haven't really listened to it since 2015.
Yeah.
And when I bought that album, I bought it the same day as Year Zero.
I like Year Zero more.
Which was a mistake in hindsight because I like Year Zero way more.
Yeah, because Year Zero, just the whole concept in general, just blows me away. But
what's amusing to me to get off on a little tiny tangent about 9 Inch Nails for a minute. Every of course to this day I have not heard The Slip, so I can't talk about The Slip. Every 9 Inch Nails album since With Teeth has kind of ended the same way. Like, Right Where It Belongs, Zero Sum, and While I'm Still Here are kind of, they're almost like variations on the same track.
Huh.
Like, they are very similar to me, like, particularly While I'm Still Here and Zero Sum. But I think Zero Sum is the best of the bunch. Because I love the imagery of Zero Sum as, humanity sort of wailing in unison as God or aliens or whatever the presence is supposed to be comes to destroy us for having ruined everything.
Yeah.
But to get back to 2013, like it was a damn good year for like electronic music and hip hop and rock.
Because Daft Punk dropped the immaculate, Random Access Memories.
Seriously, maybe their best album to me.
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
That's another hard band because they are also different.
Because I actually really love the one Human After All. I really love that album too, man. But it's hard to pick a favorite. But man, there's some stuff on Random Access Memories that is mind blowing.
The way that they joined modern electronic music with the disco that the genre came from.
Yeah, I think they perfected that new disco sound, definitely on that album.
And, I won't lie to you, at the time, Get Lucky got a little overplayed.
It did, because, man, that song goes nowhere.
I mean, it's one of those tracks where it's it goes nowhere, but the groove is good enough that I'll allow it.
Yeah, the groove is good enough that it holds it, that groove holds that song. And that...
It's like my buddy Lee says, that's a track that works best in the album.
Yeah.
As a come down from, Touch.
Yeah, because Jesus Christ,
the majesty of you got Paul Williams doing a Meatloaf voice, and the orchestras and the choir at the end.
Touch is phenomenal.
Get Lucky works as a come down from Touch.
Yeah, we gave you this massive fucking piece. Now just have a little party.
Exactly, and that whole Get Lucky got a little annoying to me at the time, but years later, and I think I said on the Lana Del Rey episode, so many artists came back in 2013. My Bloody Valentine released their first album in 22 years.
Yeah.
David Bowie dropped his first in a decade.
Seriously.
And so it was this huge year, but you're right that it was kind of a dull year for pop because obviously Lorde dropped her first.
Yeah, and
Beyonce dropped her huge self-titled album.
And see, I don't even remember most of what I put on my favorite albums of that year list. That's how much I really remember about that year.
Well, I think that one's maybe one of the ones that got taken down, too.
Probably.
Because, I'll bet you it was that whoever owns the rights to... Whoever's the distributor for, Clockwork does not like people including that music in anything that they're not supposed to, because I was going to put, at one point, I was going to put music in my top album of the decades video, but, I could not get it to work with the video being allowed to be seen, so I said, screw this, and I chopped all the music out and just left me talking. But it was kind of a dull year for pop, and art pop is definitely it's very telling that we've spent 5 minutes before even getting to the content of art pop.
Man, art pop probably one of the biggest disappointments of 2013 for me.
I'm gonna drop this hot take right now. This red hot molten zinger. This is her worst album.
Oh man.
This to me is worse than The Fame, and I'll tell you why. The Fame is a bad album, but The Fame is a bad album that shows potential. This is a bad album by an artist who I know is capable of more.
Yeah. Fuck.
She has just shown me that she is capable of more.
I am... This album, man, I think there's a handful of songs that I really like. And then there's a bunch of songs that suck, but I dig the shit out of the music. Mostly because this one hits harder on the industrial vibe on a few tracks, but then really just doubles down on the dubstep noise that was starting to get popular at this point, which is like, it makes the beats interesting, but every fucking song on here is doing that to the point where even the beats can't hold this album for me.
Well, I talked about this with a buddy of mine. Well, I should say he's more like an acquaintance, but we've known each other for a long time. He, on Rate Your Music, he basically did what we are doing today. He wrote an entire review series on Lady Gaga's discography about, I think, 2 to 3 years ago. And his description of Lady Gaga is that she is someone who is incredibly talented, but she has never matched, her output has never matched the promise of the raw talent that she has.
Yeah, that is a sad revelation when it's like, you know she can do a lot better than this, and sometimes she does, but man, I think what really did it for me with this album was all the hype she was putting out for it, because she's like, we're calling it art pop. It's gonna be a weird fucking album, and then, oh man, it might just be 2 discs, a full album of weird experimental shit, and then the other disc will just be the pop tracks. And then when it came out, we got this, and like one of the few songs on here that I'm like sort of matches that potential is Aura.
I was just gonna say it opens maybe the best of any of her albums, because Aura is so weird.
Yeah.
And so like discordant, like you have dubstep noises crashing, vocal parts that don't cohere. Lyrics where you're just like, what the hell is she talking about? Like let me pull up these lyrics, because they're like, when I listen to this again today,
it sucks because
I killed my former, and I left her in the trunk on Highway 10. Put the knife under the hood. If you find it, send it straight to Hollywood.
Fucking love it.
What does that mean?
Fucking love it.
Exactly. It's like that song is like I think we both had the same reaction when we put this on, which is like you listen to that first track. That first track is like, this is what I want to hear from a Lady Gaga album called Art Pop.
Yeah, exactly.
And then track 2 hits. And track 3 hits. And the thing is, Venus and GUI are not bad songs.
Yeah, I actually really dig
tell you
those.
This crazy thing about Venus. I mentioned my buddy Lou on this podcast already. I blew his goddamn mind in January when I said, hey Lou, you know that song, Lady Gaga song, Venus? He's like, yeah, sure, John. I'm like, do you know where that opening line, Rocket Number 9, take off to the planet Venus? Do you know where that comes from? Comes from Sun Ra.
Ah, yeah.
It comes from he has an album called Rocket Number 9, Take Off to the Planet Venus, and he has a track called Rocket Number 9, Take Off to the Planet Venus. Only when he does it, the vocal's more like, Rocket Number 9, Take Off to the Planet Venus.
So she throws down an obscure reference.
Yeah, exactly, to like crazy jazz musician who claimed he was part of an angel race from the planet Saturn who had been contacted by aliens, you know?
Fucking amazing.
And like that's kind of like the whole album in a nutshell to me is like I so want this album to be good, but it's not.
Yeah, because it starts off so fucking awesome with Aura, and then Venus, I'm digging it. GUI, I'm digging it, but not as much. And then Sex Dreams, it's alright. Jewels and Drugs.
She throws like 4 tracks on here with rappers on them. And the thing is, like, that could work if the rest of the album matched the quality of Aura and Venus.
Yeah, because, dude, Aura, like you said, Aura gives you everything you expect from what a weird, experimental Lady Gaga album called Art Pop would be. But then you get shit like Jewels and Drugs, and it just sounds like every popular fucking rap track. You got fucking T.I. and Twista on there. Lame as all fuck.
But the worst of it is that fucking R. Kelly is on this album.
Yeah, dude, do what you want. And then, dude, like, she even came out and said, you know, after all this R. Kelly shit, you know, I'm never gonna play this song live again.
And, like, good for her, but, like, why did you have him on your album?
Yeah, like, to begin with.
You had to have known, like, that trial was big shit at the time. Although, that being said, like, in hindsight, the fact that we all, like, looked at that trial of, like, basically him raping a minor, and we're like, R. Kelly peed on somebody. That has not dated well. Like, that's pretty damning. Like, there was something wrong with us in the 2000s that we all just thought that was funny.
Yeah, we were still just a couple of years away from, you know, Me Too, and
yeah,
we were still making jokes about
that stuff.
You know, we were still making jokes about shit like that at that time, and, you know, same thing with Michael Jackson. You know, like, everybody's making jokes.
I still think the Boondocks had the best take on it, which is like, take his camcorder away. Introduce him to older women. Just don't pretend that he's some sort of icon.
But yeah, like, man, I don't mind Manicure. Art Pop is cool. Swine is fine.
Actually, speaking of the R. Kelly thing, I'm just looking at Wikipedia. Not only is this removed from streaming, it has been removed from all new pressings of the album.
Oh, wow.
In November of 2019. So it's technically we own a rarity that nobody wants.
Yeah, seriously. Because here's the thing, is like, you know, yeah, all new pressings of this album don't have Do What You Want, but with it being one of the worst tracks on the album, do you really care?
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my god. Wow. Shit.
And it's like this, to me, like, this album does two things at once that I think they're fascinating. This album is both, it is trend riding to the nth degree.
Yeah.
Because it is all over that bro step that was everywhere.
Which
from like
I fucking
from like
love.
2012 to 20. When did that shit stop being popular? Was that like 2015?
Yeah, at least 2015. Like, once that movie We're Your Friends came out, that's when it's okay to say, okay, yeah, bro step is out the window now. But I absolutely love that shit. Like, Skrillex, I am all about that shit. Because they made electronic music interesting. And it was some of the most interesting electronica music I've heard in a long, long time. Where people were pushing forward what you can do with the beats, like especially Skrillex and even like Deadmau5, like when you listen to
everybody hates both of those guys,
right? But it's mostly because they were just so popular so quick and shoved down everybody's throat. But someone like me who loves electronic music, like the way they were using these random ass noises to help make the melodies, oh man, there is some wicked like digital manipulation on that shit, especially with Skrillex. Like the Bangarang EP and the Monsters EP, man, fucking good, really fucking awesome. And that's what makes it lame is that shit came out so quick with the interesting stuff, and it got so popular so quick that all the studio executives said, okay, we need to take this and put pop singers on it. And so when they did that, you get less interesting beats because it can't be as abrasive for the radio, and so they throw these pop singers on it, and they have to really tone it down to let the pop singer shine, and that really ruined a lot of it, because this album, like I said, it doubles down on that dubstep and bro step shit, where I'm like, damn, the beats have some cool shit going on, but they could be way fucking better than what's really happening.
Well, it's like one of my friends was who's from the UK was saying, like, we were talking about, you know, electronic music, and you know, we were saying, like, I don't really, between the big beat, electro dance, Prodigy, Chemical Brothers, you know, some Aphex Twin, not all Aphex Twin, but a little bit of it. And earlier Moby, like that, between that stuff and dubstep, I don't really know if there was popular electronic music in America, at least hitting the top echelons.
Yeah, definitely not in America, because after the big beat started to wind down, most of the electronica that was coming out over here was getting popular was like Darude and the Daniel Bedingfield kind of stuff, where it wasn't as abrasive as some of the big beat shit, wasn't as groovy, but the electronic aspect is toned down a little more. But when they started doing that, it went away pretty quick, because at that point, that's when the nu metal guys were toning down and some of the emo things were coming in heavy. And
I just think people got like burned out on America got burned out on electronic music, because like the 90s were like so heavy.
Yeah.
Into all of that stuff, where like you turn on like Madonna albums from 92, you turn on your Janet Jackson albums from 97, there's house beats everywhere.
Yeah. And that was before electronica music was even like perfected. Cause fucking, I'd say around like 95 is like the definite year where electronica really came into its own, as far as something that really became its own identity. Cause that's when
it's like you listen to the Orbs stuff, and like the first 3 Orb albums are like all over the place.
Yeah.
Like, they are exploratory as all get out. And then you get to the 4th album, and it is like their 97 album, and it is so much more structured, and in a way you could say it's more commercial.
Yeah, because things definitely... Even though, like,
I love that album.
Definitely got
my
more.
second favorite.
Because even so, like, when you listen to Experience from the Prodigy, like, that's some of the most phenomenal electronic music. And even those early Orbital albums, too, like, fucking phenomenal shit. But, yeah, like, the 90s, it was around 95 when, like, rave music really started to hit the mainstream, because you had the first Chemical Brothers record, come out. You had music from the Jilted generation, from Prodigy come out. Like, a lot of shit came out that was pushing what electronic music can do. And then they really started to follow that shit, man, because you couldn't really go anywhere without hearing some Moby or Fatboy Slim for a while, Chemical Brothers. That shit was, Crystal Method. That shit was going everywhere. And then into the early 2000s.
I think Play is,
And when you hit the early 2000s and Basement Jaxx hits it real big, yeah. But then it all kind of went away.
I think Play by Moby is fascinating because, like, they say that album was like one of the first times an artist got big through commercials.
And you know what's funny is that's true, but what is amazing about Play from Moby is the fact that that album showcases, like, all the good stuff of all the great electronica subgenres. Like, that album is everywhere. There's big beat, there's house, there's slight industrial shit going on. Like, Play is fantastic.
Yeah, Moby is one of those dudes where it's like he is inconsistent as it gets.
Yeah, but it's always
But when
good.
he's on, he's on.
Yeah, that is the fucking truth.
But to go back to art pop, what I was saying is, like, what blows me away about art pop is that art pop is, on the one hand, art pop is so trendy. Like, it is riding that bro step hard.
Yeah.
On the other hand, art pop is the album that, like, it is the album that is doing the old thing right as the old thing is being replaced.
Yeah, like, seriously, because this is at the point, like, at this point, Korn had already made their dubstep record, you know?
When Korn is beating you to the punch.
Seriously.
It's time to go home. It's time to give up music. You're done.
Seriously, Korn, a veteran metal band from '93, beat
Korn,
most brand new shit.
Up band who have not made a good album since 2002. Although I did not listen to their last album. People tell me it's good.
It's worth checking out. Like, they're not breaking any new ground at all, but
the only band of that era, the only metal band from that genre I am interested in hearing a new album from in 2020 is Deftones.
Yeah, even though, like, a lot of their shit just kind of sounds the same, too.
Yeah, that's the shoegazeness.
Yeah, that's the shoegaze shit.
I love shoegaze, but a lot of it just sounds the same. But, like, with the albums that are doing that, like, the two examples I always think of, even though both of them are, like, relatively decent albums, Dangerous by Michael Jackson and the two Use Your Illusion albums by Guns N' Roses. Where those are albums that are, like, heavy into the 80s and 90s pop thing and heavy into the hair metal shit right as grunge is about to wipe both of those genres off the map.
Yeah. Yeah, because, man, I love the Use Your Illusion albums.
I go back and forth on them because there's stuff that I like on there, but, like, Guns N' Roses are not a band who needed to do a double album.
Yeah, that is just way too much. But those albums, I can listen to a lot more. There's more interesting stuff because, like, Appetite for Destruction is way too heavy on the blues riffs. The blues rock metal riffs that just kind of annoy me at this point.
They're a band that, like, to me, like, they have not aged well.
No, they have not.
Like some of it's better than others, but none of it's aged well.
That's why I love Chinese Democracy, because it sounds nothing like the old shit, and there's, like, more what I like on it. Like, not gonna lie, hot take. Favorite Guns N' Roses album? Goddamn Chinese democracy.
So Art Pop, it's a strange album. It's a very contradictory album. It's an album that's trying to be artsy while also being, in many respects, the most commercial thing she's ever done.
Yeah, and it don't work for me.
And it just fails at everything it tries to do to me.
I totally feel that.
It's got there are 4 good tracks on the album to me. Because Applause is a good track. It's a little dubious lyrically. A lot of critics pointed out that, Applause is very much this is the artist at the point where they're drinking their own Kool-Aid. And that's what Applause represents. And I think, that's definitely, what this album is. It's the artist, it's Lady Gaga sort of drinking her own Kool-Aid, and I think maybe assuming that, she doesn't have to maybe put in as much work as she had done on the last album. It's hard to say. I will say this album is very interesting because it got hit by the Be Here Now effect.
Yes.
But
Be Here Now,
it came out.
I love Be Here Now, but man, this.
Oh, I love Be Here Now too.
But I totally see what you're saying. The Be Here Now effect.
Because it sold relatively well. When it obviously it didn't sell as well as well, maybe it did. Let me look.
Because it sold good, but man, that word of mouth came quick.
It did not sell as well as Born This Way, because this was also when did piracy took album sales down in different steps, like when you look at Gorillaz, by the time Plastic Beach came out, piracy had already taken a significant enough chunk away of the album revenue away that EMI basically said, look Damon, you blew all of your money making the videos for this album. We are not going to give you another album. And by the time you get to Art Pop, I think piracy had taken market shares even more so.
Yeah.
And like you said, it did well. It got relatively positive reviews. The reviews were kind of all over the map.
Yeah.
But it sold well. But you are dead on. The word of mouth spread like wildfire with this one.
People were just not ready for Lady Gaga to put out a relatively bad album. MIA put out a way better album this year, in 2013 than...
I forgot that she dropped an album.
Yeah, and nobody fucking talked about it. And I'm like, that album is fantastic. And
has she released anything since, or even done anything of note besides saying that the coronavirus isn't real?
God damn, fucking...
Or whatever, or that if there was a vaccine for it, she wouldn't take it, or whatever asinine things she is saying lately.
She has, because her last album was in 2016, so she's had one album since that 2013 release, but supposedly she's working on a new album, but she mentioned back then that the 2016 album would be her last, so who really fucking knows? But yeah, her fucking 2013 album was miles better than the Gaga fucking album.
Oh, I'm sure.
But
I listened to that a little bit, and it was one of those listens where I was like, this is good, but I feel like I need to hear the rest of her stuff before,
Yeah.
So, there was supposed to be a whole nother, speaking of Plastic Beach, just like Plastic Beach, allegedly, there was supposed to be a whole second album of
Yeah.
hard pop.
This was supposed to be a double album, one that was mostly gonna be pop music, while the other one was gonna be experimental weird shit. And she said that stuff was recorded, and even though she didn't drop it on the same day, she said it might still come out. Which at this point, it's not gonna happen.
If it happens, it's going to be an archival release years down the road.
Exactly.
So major disappointment. Like we've been saying, it was a disappointment. It was one of those like delayed action disappointments.
Yeah, because it's like you're not ready to fucking be like, this album is not good. And the more
Phantom Menace.
Yeah, exactly. Man. The more I listened to it, the less and less I was really liking it. But I was like, every time I turned it on, I would get fooled. Because like we said, Aura comes on and you're like, fuck yes. And then Venus and you're like, cool. And then GUI, like, alright, man. But then Sex Dreams, like, oh, okay, we're having fun. And then Jewels and Drugs and you're like, what the fuck?
What is this?
What the fuck? And then Manicure, you're kind of coming back a little bit like, oh, it's whatever. And then Do What You Want.
And then she hits you with the R. Kelly song, and you're like, I am done with this album.
And you're like, what? Oh, God, no, please.
And so it was a slow burn disappointment, and those are the ones that really hurt you.
Yeah.
As an artist. Those are the ones that kill you. Because when you get an album that like everybody buys and then gets disappointed with, that creates resentment. Because if you did pony up the money for the album, you're gonna be like, I paid easily 10, maybe 13, maybe if there was a deluxe edition, maybe even like $15 to $17 for this.
Yeah.
And like that's why, like, when you look at the prequels, people despise the Phantom Menace. And even though Attack of the Clones is a much worse movie,
a burnt baby stays away from the fire.
It does not get the vitriol that Phantom Menace does, because because so many people were burned by Phantom Menace that they just either went in with low expectations or they just didn't go.
Yeah. And, man, I was just so disappointed. But the thing is the songs that I like on this album, I love way more than anything on The Fame. And that's why it hurts me so much. I'm like, damn, the potential was there. There was the possibility of this being fucking amazing. And
that's why I have to rate it lower than The Fame, because this is a 4 to me.
Ooh, because The Fame is the first shot.
The Fame is a bad album, but it's a bad album with potential.
Yeah, it's allowed to possibly suck. It's the first swing. Like,
but 3 releases in, you're supposed to know better than this.
Man, it was a misfire. So you straight up a 4 on this motherfucker. Dang.
It's a 4 or a 5 depending on the day, but this morning when I got up at 7:30 and I listened to this, I was like, as soon as I got past those 3 tracks, I was like skipping. I was like, I would get halfway and I'm like, skip.
Yeah, just let me hear bits of this song. The best part.
I've heard the whole thing when I bought it, and much like you, it was like every time I listen to it, it diminishes.
Yeah.
It's not an album that improves. It's an album that gets worse, and like.
Yeah.
So it could be a 5 or a 4. Today I'm going to give it a 4 because I was just so I was so, like, annoyed with it when I was listening today.
Yeah, it's a 5 for me right now. But, man, if the Fame sounds dated, this one sounds dated on a different level. Because, like we were saying, like, she's just, it's trendy. When I listen to this, I'm like, oh yeah, here's some cool dubsteppy sounds, but they're underusing it in every form and fashion. It's sort of just soulless, using what's popular at the time just because. And so, like, I can jam those Skrillex albums and be like, yeah, man, 2012 all the way, bro. But I'm enjoying it. I'm like, so much cool shit going on. But with Gaga, I should be like, fuck yeah, man, these beats are awesome. Whereas some tracks I do feel that way, but others I'm like, it's soulless. You're just putting weird bloops and bleeps on the beats, and
Of very commercial pop songs.
yeah, and it's just not working for me. Like, take the lyrical parts away, and it would just sound like a cheap, subpar dubstep album.
Yeah!
Save for, Aura. Like, Aura's got a lot of interesting things happening with the weird gypsy sounding guitar bit and the drums, and like there's a lot going on that track that works for that style. But when you get to everything else, it's just very toned down, and man, like, whoa, I've heard some of the most generic ass dubstep groups do better than this. Like, wow, man. Fuck.
Honestly, the reason it's a 4 for me is the disappointment.
Yeah, the disappointment hits hard.
Like, as I think I said to you 4 years ago when we were working on that review we did of Calling All Stations. There's a reason Calling All Stations is such a bad album to me, and it's not just that the music is bad. It's that the music is bad coming from the band who did Supper's Ready.
Yeah, like motherfuckers who are better than this.
Like even like some of Genesis's 80s pop stuff is.
I'll listen to Invisible Touch every day before I listen to Calling All Stations again.
Exactly. I'm going to do you one better. I'll listen to We Can't Dance, which is a much worse album.
Seriously, oh my God.
I will listen to We Can't Dance every day of my life before. So, after a highly disappointing 2013 release, Lady Gaga kind of takes a sharp left turn, and I think it was a smart sharp left turn.
Yeah.
And that was into a duets album with Tony Bennett.
Yeah, Cheek to Cheek. And I did not listen to this one in prep for the podcast because I figure we're mostly going to be talking about everything surrounding this album as opposed to the album itself, because the album is just, it's nothing but jazz standards.
It's the Great American Songbook.
Yeah, nothing but jazz standards. But I love their version of It Don't Mean a Thing. Like, the thing is like these songs are so classic that it's hard for anyone to fuck them up, especially if you play them in the original jazz standard way. So, like, it's not breaking any ground at all. It's fairly standard for what you get from Tony Bennett, but hearing Lady Gaga really just go hardcore on her vocals.
Show you what she can do.
Yeah.
You know?
Like, she's definitely the star on this album. It's like, everybody knows Tony Bennett's good, but can Lady Gaga stand up to one of the greats? And she damn sure does.
I was impressed. To tell you the truth, I was impressed by Tony Bennett on this album.
For someone who is old as he is,
you know, I know he sounds good in his prime because my great uncle, who I've mentioned a couple times, I wound up hearing a lot of jazz records, a lot of vocal pop records, because this great uncle had all those records. He had a bunch of Tony Bennett. You know, Tony Bennett did a phenomenal album with Bill Evans, he was the piano player on Kind of Blue in the 70s. You know, obviously Tony Bennett was good when he was young, but like for an 88-year-old man to sound as good as he does on this album.
Yeah.
Or maybe was he 88?
He's 93 now.
Late 80s. He's 93 now, so he was in his mid to late 80s. So for an octogenarian to sound as good as he does on this album, you know, that's impressive. And Gaga sings her heart out on here.
She kicks ass on this album. Because we had done, the last time I heard it was back when me, Zach, and Josh did the review for it, and that was ages ago, and I remember us liking it then, but yeah, I haven't heard it since.
I listened to it this morning as a palate cleanser.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really kind of what it is in the span of her discography, you know, because I was like so disgusted by art pop this time around.
It's like, I need something with a little more merit.
And it's like I have been into this kind of music recently. Like I've been buying a lot of Frank Sinatra albums.
Yeah.
I kind of took a break because I burned myself out on those, and now I'm honestly more about like rootsy, sort of folksy, country-ish kind of rock right now.
Yeah.
But
it's like we say, what else do we want to burn ourselves out on?
Exactly. So, but like, so I was digging this. You know, it's a fast listen. It's 35 minutes.
Yeah, real quick.
You know, it's very well performed. These are not the definitive versions of some of these songs, like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you want. For Let's Face the Music and Dance, you want the Duke Ellington version and his band.
Exactly, and I listened to without realizing it, I listened to the deluxe edition, which has Don't Wait Too Long on it. And the definitive Don't Wait Too Long is the Frank Sinatra Don't Wait Too Long.
Yeah.
You know? You're not going to match Frank Sinatra in 1965.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, no possible way.
But it's a good album, and like it's a palate cleanser, and I love the reason they did this album, which is that they wanted to introduce these classic tracks from the Great American Songbook to the younger generation.
Yeah.
And just like I mean, obviously on a much broader level, it's like we were talking about the last time when we met, we talked about Tom Waits. You know, some of Tom Waits' later albums, you know, they might not be the greatest albums, even though I have revised my opinion and I now put Mule Variations much higher than I did on that podcast. You're like, I'm glad these exist so that like with Bad As Me, all the young dudes, all the hipsters in 2011 are like, Tom Waits is cool.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you know what? The same reason they put this out is several years ago I watched, Netflix used to have a Seth MacFarlane concert where he was singing a lot of the old crooner songs, and he straight up said, you know, because the audience was young, you know, and he straight up says, you know, don't think of these songs as the boring songs your grandparents listened to. Think of these songs as the songs that your grandparents listened to while making your parents. And I'm like, what a great way to put it.
Well, the thing is, like with Seth MacFarlane, I'm like, You missed your calling, dude. You are a much better singer than you are a comedian.
Yeah, his music is great. Just for someone like him to be into that crooner stuff, like that's cool. Because even like when he does, huh? Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go ahead.
Whenever he does that kind of shit on the Family Guy thing, I'm like, man, you are so good at this.
It's like, this is what you should be doing.
But not gonna lie, I'm a major fan of his The Orville. I'm a major fan of that.
That is good, because the classic Star Trek is so easy to make fun of.
Yeah, and the humor's real dry on the show. Like, it takes itself serious, but there's, like, humor in there. Like, it's not taking itself over serious. Like, it's serious with its themes and its ideas. But it's got some silly shit in there. Like, but you would expect it to be a laugh riot. You know what I mean? But it is not Star Trek by way of Family Guy. Like, it is definitely more Star Trek than than Star Trek has been since, like,
for the next generation.
Yeah.
So I rate Cheek to Cheek. It's a 7.
Yeah, I can throw down a 7 because I don't remember much. I remember these songs, but I don't necessarily remember their versions. Because, like I said, it's been like, what, 5 years since...
Probably like 5 years.
Yeah, since we did our video for this. So, and plus, I don't own it. Zach's got it. And y'all
reviewed it like almost 6 months after it came out, I want to say.
Yeah, it had been around it was fairly new, but...
September of 14, and I want to say you reviewed it in like spring of 15, but yeah, I don't remember.
Something like that. So it had been around for a minute, but it wasn't that old. But yeah. Definitely a 7.
So yeah.
So before we get in to Joanne, let me smoke one more cig.
Okay. We should keep a cigarette counter.
Yeah, I think this will be...
That would be fun to do, is like we could do a quiz for the listeners, and it would be like Bloody Chuckles trivia. How many cigarettes did Travis smoke in an episode?
Like,
how many cups of coffee did John make during the making of this podcast?
Right, like, since I don't smoke in this studio, we gotta take cig breaks. But at my old studio, before we bought, even before we moved into the house across the street, because the house we live in now is across the street from where we were staying, and we bought this house. But the house we were living in before the one across the street, we were smoking in that studio, and you can hear it during the hell, you can see it, because you can constantly see us rolling them things, and you can hear us rolling them things and lighting them up. So it's like...
Well, you set the couch on fire that one time.
Yeah, we set the couch on fire that one damn time. If you people want to see that, I think it's our Dillinger Escape Plan review. But yeah, somewhere pretty early, about maybe the 15-20 minute mark, that couch is on fire, man.
I think it's incredible that you all caught that on camera.
Yeah, dude. Gotta love it. Oh, gotta love it. Like recently when Zach spilled his beer during the CD collection video for this year, like, and you can hear it. You just hear a boop. Oh, it was great. That was great. But you know what's funny is when Zach left the room to go get the towel, Stas told me that he walked in there because Stas could hear me laughing. Zach apparently looked at Stas and was like, "It's not that funny." And I'm like, "Yeah, it is, man." But
well, comedy's all in the eye of the beholder, man.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my God. But yeah, we'll come back in just a moment. I'm gonna get a cigarette in, and then we'll talk about Lady Gaga's latest album, Joanne. And before we get to Joanne, I hate that I'm saying this so late in the podcast, but I wanted to say it when we were talking about the Fame. Going back to Love Game, and I want to take a ride on your disco stick. Obviously, that is a metaphor for a dick, but one thing that I always said was there's a bit of, I don't know if she did this on purpose, but there's a bit of genius in there because Disco Stick, obviously being a dick, look at the first two letters in disco and the last two letters in stick. You straight up, yeah, you straight up have dick in there. So yeah, just had to say that. Wish I said it.
Conspiracy or accidental alliteration? Not alliteration. I screwed that up. Conspiracy or accidental anagram? You be the judge.
Yeah, seriously. So Joanne, I was a bit hyped for this album, mostly because
I forgot that it came out because like the crazy thing about me in like 2016 to 2017 is I was pretty attuned to the pop scene of 2013 to 2015 because I was with somebody who was listening to all that music at the time.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we broke up in like early January of 2016. Which is also why there's a lot of like I was rewatching some of my older videos just to see what I thought of them. There's some really dark comedy in some of those older videos about depression, and that's part of what that was about.
Yeah, I remember thinking some of those jokes were great.
They're funny to me now, but I'm like, I look at that, I'm like, those jokes came from a very raw place, but like. That's always sort of been my attitude of like, am I not doing well? Make a joke out of it, you know? But my point is like 2016 and part of 2017 are like lost years for me with pop. Like I felt I was out of like, that was like when this came out is the peak of my metal phase of like me being like really into metal and mostly like 2000s metal and like being interested in that and like I mean this came out in October. By that time I was like buying every Gorillaz album I could get my hands on, so like I was not interested in a Lady Gaga album in 2016. So yeah. It just kind of passed me by, you know?
And it was weird is I think it passed a lot of people by because the album had a lot of hype and build up, and then it just kind of came and then kind of went. But what was hyping me up was, the disappointment behind Art Pop. You've got a decent gap between albums here, about 3 years almost. And all the it's going to be more stripped down and not a dance record. And I'm like, okay, you know, she showed us a lot of what she can do on Cheek to Cheek. You know, now she's going to show us a little more. And then when I heard the guest appearances like Josh Tillman from Father John Misty and Josh Homme and Florence Welch, I was like, damn, she's got some pretty good motherfuckers on here. And then Zach actually bought it. I actually did not buy this until about 2 years ago. But Zach bought it, and we were going to do a review, and we listened to it, and then just kind of forgot about it. And just kind of just went somewhere else. But
you want to know the crazy thing? The exact same thing happened to me with Art Pop.
Yeah?
Where I bought it in 2018 because I was going to do a review of it. But every time when I talked about Art Pop, every time I talked about it, every time I listened to it, it got worse. And eventually it got to the point where it's like, you know, the way I do my channel, I try not to do like strongly there's enough, like, particularly when I started out, like, there was enough people doing negative reviews of things.
Yeah.
Like that used to be like when both of us started out, like, that was pretty much the only way you could review things and be popular was to, like, be hyperbolically angry at them.
Yeah.
And, like, so I don't like to do angry reviews, or even really particularly negative reviews, and unless it's something brand new.
Yeah.
And eventually it got to a point where it was like, if I'm going to do this review, this is going to be a very aggressively negative review, and I don't really want to do that, because that's not really the energy I want to project into the world, you know?
Yeah, seriously. Like with us, like, you know, we normally just try to talk about artists that we love, and if they drop something we don't like, you know, we try not to be overly negative, and
it happens sometimes.
Yeah, it happens, but I try to at least put out there that, man, if you like it, that's totally fucking cool. It's not doing it for me. But I don't want to make anyone feel bad for liking something. Like, that's my thing.
Exactly.
Like, cause fucking, you know, I don't want to be like, you know, you can hate on the album, you can hate on the artist, but don't hate on the person for liking that album or artist. But yeah, this came out, and I dug it, but then I didn't think about it until I bought it about 2 years ago, and I listened to it. It was when I was really boosting up my electronica music and collection, and went ahead and bought the rest of the Lady Gaga albums I needed, and so when I got to this one, I was kind of like, damn, I kind of want that Born This Way shit again, and then I listened to this one again today, and I'm like, this is actually pretty damn good.
You want to know the funny thing?
Yeah.
I have, like, the same story. You know, I listened to it in 2017, I think. At least a year after it came out. Might have been 2018, too. And I was kind of underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Actually, scratch that, I was really underwhelmed. I was like, is this a bad album? It might be. But when I listened to it again this morning, I was loving it.
Yeah. I was like
not as much as her classic stuff.
But for something different and stripped down, I was like, I can get into this.
For it being the most different thing that Lady Gaga has ever done. You know, I was really enjoying it. You know, I'm not gonna rate it the highest, but it's definitely it's a lot better than I thought it was gonna be, and I think a lot of that is that she really got with a lot of very talented people.
Yeah.
Because in addition to Josh Tillman and Josh Homme and
Beck.
Oh, yeah, Beck is on a track.
Keep forgetting about that.
You would never know he's on there. Actually, you know what? Maybe you would. Let me see what track he's on.
He's on Dancing in Circles. But then,
that kind of does have a modern Beck vibe.
Yeah.
But, like, modern Beck is not really my thing.
Yeah, I haven't heard much modern Beck. I haven't heard much Beck after the album with Sex Laws.
My thing about Beck is that, like, Beck in the 90s is phenomenal.
Dude was ahead of his fucking time.
Beck in the 2000s is not as good, but still great. And then he goes away after Modern Guilt for like 6 years.
Oh yeah, I do have Modern Guilt. I like that album okay.
I I like it too. You know, Danger Mouse. It's probably the last thing I heard from Danger Mouse that I loved.
Yeah, back when Danger Mouse was like somebody to pay attention to.
Well, my joke has always been like Danger Mouse back when he was hip hop producer Danger Mouse, as opposed to boring dad rock producer Danger Mouse, who produces for the Black Keys and bands like the Chili Peppers, who have not been good in almost 30 years.
Yeah, oh my god. Like, they got this new album coming out, and they're boasting that, oh, Josh Frusciante is back, but I'm like, you know, I don't
make a
give
good
a
album
fuck.
with you all the other times,
Exactly.
so why is it going to be different this time?
Exactly. I'm like, you guys are boasting that he's back. Yeah, dude's a killer guitarist, but hey, come on. Yeah, like, that's not gonna make the Chili Peppers album good. Sorry.
Yeah, but it's like them back. When Beck came back in 2014, he came back with Morning Phase, and Morning Phase is like basically Sea Change again.
Yeah, that's the sequel to Sea Change.
And it's a good album. I like it. I own the record because 50% off at Barnes & Noble, making the record $10. I'm not going to turn that up.
True.
You know. But it's very much just Sea Change Part 2, and then I have not heard his 2017 album. Everybody hates it. And then I heard his 2019 album, and it was underwhelming as fuck.
Damn.
Like, it was another one where the first listen, I was like, back doing vapor synthwave? This is amazing. And then the second listen, I was like, this is boring.
Yeah, he did an album last year that I totally don't remember coming out.
And that was with Pharrell as the producer.
Oh, no.
Well, it doesn't sound like Pharrell's the producer. It sounds like its own thing, its own weird thing. 'Cause it's an odd little album. It kind of sounds like Pharrell may have actually pushed back in the wrong direction. It kind of sounds like Beck wanted to do a weirder, funkier album, and Pharrell wanted Beck to do more like his traditional singer-songwriter music, that is not Beck's strong suit. And the fact that I think Sea Change kind of ruined him, to be honest with you, because like everybody gave it so much acclaim, and I think it convinced Beck that like he was a grand singer-songwriter on the Neil Young level, and that's not who Beck is. Beck is a dude who puts weird shit that doesn't belong together and makes it sound great.
Yeah, like the random ass banjo lick on
like the banjo licks, and like you'll have a country funk song, and then it goes into like some like weird dirty white boy rapping.
Yeah, man.
Or like a sex jam album closer about how he wants to get with you and your sister.
Yeah, man. Beck was a genius, man.
And when he got with the Dust Brothers, you know?
Yeah. Dust Brothers are the shit.
Yeah, they are. But to go back to Joanne, you know, I love that this album has a very 70s feel, and you know, I looked into the production, and Mark Ronson did a lot of producing on this album, and he did some writing too. He was her main collaborator on here, and you would know Mark Ronson as he collaborated heavily with Amy Winehouse and Adele, and he has also collaborated with Queens of the Stone Age quite a bit.
Oh.
Which I was not aware of.
Could he be the one that produced Villains? Because a lot of people were...
Yes, he is.
Ah.
He is.
Yeah, because a lot of people were worried about
crazy?
that.
He went straight from Villains to Dua Lipa's first album. or not producing, but he did played a bit on it.
Damn.
And he also plays on God's Favorite Customer by Father John Misty,
which is a damn good album.
He plays bass on Disappointing Diamonds or The Rarest of Them All. Honestly, the more I go back to it, the more I think that might be my favorite Father John Misty album.
God's Favorite Customer?
Yeah, with me it's a bit like my favorites are definitely Honey Bear and God's Favorite Customer. And then I'm not really sure where I rate Fear Fun and
Fear Fun is definitely my least favorite. Where to me it's actually like my straight up favorite is Pure Comedy. And
and I get,
and then God's Favorite Customer definitely right behind it, and then Honey Bear at number 3. Because Honey Bear is the first.
We ought to do a Misty retrospective.
Yeah, we should. Because damn, Honey Bear definitely got me into him, and I was like, this is some different shit.
Yeah. So Mark Ronson's worked with a lot of different people. I mean, he worked with Vampire Weekend on their last album.
Okay. Which I dug the shit out of that, especially for someone like who's never really listened to him. Like Zach's always been real big into him, and I was like, damn, this is a pretty good album.
I liked it a lot, but I kind of liked their first 3 more.
Yeah.
Because they did away with a lot of that. That's a very like Father of the Bride is a very like. They lost a lot of the energy that I had liked from them. Like Father of the Bride is a very like. I'm headed towards my 30s. I've got a wife and a kid. I'm gonna put my feet up, have a few beers, maybe smoke a little weed, and lie back and listen to Vampire Weekend doing songs that Fleetwood Mac could have written.
Yeah, they're definitely.
Maybe in 10 years, I'll be like, Father of the Bride is the best Vampire Weekend album.
They're definitely going to be like the next generation's dad rock. We're like my generation, being in the 30s now. Like my dad rock is definitely shit like Fish, and Dave Matthews and stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas like my parents' dad rock was like the Eagles in Chicago and shit. And
that was my parents' dad rock too.
So like I could see Vampire Weekend definitely being like the next generation of dad rock.
Yeah. So like with Joanne, like I love that this album doubles down on like the 70s singer-songwriter music.
Yeah, it does.
But it also really doubles down on what you said, I think, before we started rolling, of that kind of desert road trip music.
Yeah, there's a desert vibe on here. Definitely a Josh Homme vibe, because he's on I think 2 tracks here. He's on Diamond Heart and John Wayne, and John Wayne and Diamond Heart both sort of have a Josh Homme stamp on them, but the rest of the album does have that. Yeah. And then too,
that one just
a lot of this album reminds me of the sadcore stuff from Lana Del Rey.
This is definitely Gaga's attempt to move into the world of that thing,
Yeah.
That like. But it's also kind of doing its own thing, and that's, I think, why I like it as much as I do.
Yeah, because it's like
it is the most rock record she has ever made.
Yeah, like the electronics are way in the back. Like it is mostly a guitar, bass, and drum album. And I dig the shit out of it just because of it being different and actually working. I remember too when this came out, a lot of people were like, "Oh, go back to the old style." Like you even see that on the documentary that came out when she was getting ready for her Super Bowl performance. And but I'm like, yeah. At the time, I was like, yeah, do something different. And I'm glad she did this. But like I said, I am ready for her to go back to some killer dance shit. And hopefully, "Stupid Love" is not the only killer track on that album.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really like Diamond Heart, and AO is fun. Joanne, I dig. John Wayne is one of my favorites.
John Wayne is like almost like it like forget which track it was. I said like you added a sweet stoner guitar solo. You could almost be a Queens of the Stone Age track. John Wayne.
Yeah, definitely.
Like sweet stoner guitar solo could definitely be a Queens of the Stone Age track. Hell, even if you left the Lady Gaga vocal in, because Queens of the Stone Age love to have guest stars.
Yeah, seriously.
Like they love to do that stuff. That's a Josh Homme thing all the way.
Yeah, definitely. Fucking, Perfect Illusion and Million Reasons is okay, but I really dig Sinner's Prayer, because that's another one. You can definitely hear the Josh Tillman stamp on that track.
Yo, absolutely.
Come to Mama, I like. And Hey Girl featuring Florence Welch is for me, straight up, maybe a little underwhelming. Because I don't think their voices kind of work well together. I don't know. There's something weird about this song that is kind of like, what's happening?
Well, that's the one where it straight up does, like you were saying, you know, I forget which ballad of hers was Hey Jude. Like that's Hey Girl's Benny and the Jets all the way.
Oh yeah, seriously. Hey girl,
hey
girl.
That piano stomp, and like, you know what else does that piano stomp? What the hell's that Frank Ocean track? I think it's Super Rich Kids does that piano thing from Benny and the Jets almost note for note.
Dang.
But like he takes it in a very different direction. So like I'll allow it, you know?
Yeah. And
like, I don't think their voices are like distinct enough.
It's like I can tell who is who, because Florence definitely has there's definitely much more age in her voice on this track, and like there's a raspiness that I like.
There definitely is, but like I think their tones and range, well, not ranges, because Lady Gaga sings with way more range than I've ever heard from Florence and the Machine. But that was my first impression listening today, or I suppose technically it's second impression, but it's been so long since I heard this that it was almost like a first impression all over again.
Definitely. But I feel you there. It's like you can tell who is who, but neither of them are doing anything too different from each other.
And I finished this, and there was still like maybe 20 minutes before we started, so I checked out the bonus tracks.
Yeah, because I got that version too with because Angel Down is fine. But I kind of like, what is it, Grigio Girls? How do you say that?
I think it's Grigio.
Grigio, yeah, that's how she said. I like that.
Because, I mean, you know, you got the Pinot Grigio, of course, and then I think that might be Italian, and Lady Gaga is, of course, very vocally Italian, so... Or Italian-American, I should say. Because her actual name is...
Something Stefani.
It's Stefani or Stephanie Germanotta.
Germanotta, yeah, there you go, Germanotta. But yeah, just another day. I don't remember too much. But here's what's crazy. the work tape version of Angel Down, guess who's producing it?
Who?
Red One finally comes back.
Well, you know, the thing that I thought about is, like, he is all over Born This Way. And he is nowhere to be found on Art Pop.
Yeah.
So you wonder if maybe that's part of why that album was the way it was, you know?
Yeah, seriously, because he's all over Born This Way, and he's on a lot of the Fame.
He's on a lot of the Fame Monster.
Yeah,
too.
he's on a lot of the Fame. How much is he on Born This Way? Looking here. Yeah, he's on a good several tracks on Born This Way. Not as much, but I see maybe 3 songs with his name on there. But yeah, he's definitely all over the Fame. Like, you just see Red One, Red One. He's on about half of that album. But yeah, Art Pop, like, nowhere to be found. Fucking at all. Like, I'm seeing like Zed and Zissis. Like, who the fuck are these people?
Whoever those people are.
Blair. Like, I mean, Rick Rubin is on a fucking track, and it's like, damn, dude, how did you not save this album?
Which one is Rick Rubin on?
He is on "Dope," the "I Love You More Than Dope" song, which, not gonna lie, is one of the decent tracks. But damn, you know, Rick Rubin.
I will say, like, Rick Rubin's a dude where, like, he's a hugely important man in hip hop.
Yeah.
And, like, he saved Johnny Cash, although my buddy Eric joked that, you know, he saved Johnny Cash in a way that you could almost, like, qualify as elder abuse.
It's like, yeah, I'm on my deathbed, but no, man, sing some more songs.
Some of his more recent stuff is not always, like Death Magnetic. Wasn't that one of his?
Was it? I want to say...
I don't remember.
I want to say...
Let's look this up.
Yeah, because it's like... Because I swear we made the joke that...
It is produced by Rick Rubin.
Yeah, because it's like, you get Bob Rock to fuck your shit up for so long, you gotta go to Rick Rubin to at least save a little bit of your shit.
And it's like... Death Magnetic is not a bad album, but oh my god, is it too loud. Like, loudness war, full force, like...
all the way. Like it
I
is.
remember that somebody was saying that
there is no nuance on that album.
No, they were saying that, like, you know it's bad when the Guitar Hero versions of those songs is mastered better than the album. Because they had to take the compression away so that you could actually discern what instrument was playing which part.
Yeah, man. It was a decent return to form, but man, does it destroy some speakers.
Because Rush did that too. Like, I think it's Vapor Trails is considered like one of the worst loudness war albums ever. To the point where, like, 5 or 6 years later, Rush re-released the album and, like, George Lucased it up so that, like, the compression wasn't there.
Damn.
Like they had to go back and correct their album.
Well, good on them for that.
Huh?
Good on them for that. Make it sonically
Seriously.
better.
I had no idea that Rick Rubin was on anywhere on Art Pop.
Yeah, that's crazy. But fucking... It's crazy, though, because Joanne is such a decent, really good album that, man, just kind of came and went. Like, I feel like there's more hype for Chromatica than this one generated.
Because I think like by the time you get to Joanne, the pop scene has changed
It damn
so
sure
much.
did. It damn sure did.
Like your big top artists in 2016 were like people like Halsey and the Weeknd, and that was when, I mean, Drake has been around since like 2010, but like 2016 is when Drake became like the male artist of the 2010s.
Yeah.
And like you had the Chainsmokers and the Weeknd and
Pilots.
that's when
21 Pilots.
Huh?
21 Pilots.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Imagine Dragons at like their height and their worst.
Yeah.
Coldplay basically doing Imagine Dragons.
Oh yeah.
Like I will defend those first 3 Coldplay. No, let's say first 4. I'll defend those first 4 Coldplay albums to an extent. You know.
Yeah, I don't mind some of that early Coldplay shit. Parachutes I can't do, but from Rush of Blood to the Head to at least
Parachutes is a good album when it does singles, but there is too much of that sad acoustic guitar music on Parachutes.
To me, Parachutes tries so hard to fucking sound like the Benz era Radiohead, but
that
failing.
was just British rock.
Yeah.
At that time, because remember Travis? Travis did that too.
Yeah. Fuck, you're right, dude. I forgot about Travis.
Muse did that. Muse's first album is that as well.
Yeah, Muse's first album is definitely one of the better the Benz copycats. Thankfully Muse went on their own way pretty quick.
Yeah. So like, you know, that being said, you know, Coldplay after 2011 is pretty much unforgivable. And then 2016, that's when hip hop really started to change towards the
Future,
emo rap,
the trap scene, Migos,
the trap. And yeah, there was like 16 and 17, that's when Migos was the biggest shit in the world. And they've like dropped off the face of the earth too. I haven't heard anything from Migos since 2017.
I mean, I had buddies at work be like, "Hey man, who's your favorite Migo?" And I'm like, "What the fuck is a Migo?"
I don't know any of them besides the one that has a kid with Cardi B, and I don't even remember his name anymore.
Right? Like, come on.
But like, so like, the scene was so different in 2016, and there was so much like other stuff happening, like all the celebrities dying, you know.
Yeah, because there was like
Bowie.
Yeah.
And
God.
Leonard Cohen dropping their last albums, you know.
And then Meatloaf came back really good with fucking Steinman, and Fish came back with one of their better albums in ages, and goddamn
A Tribe Called Quest did their final album. Well, they didn't mean it to be their final album, but it wound up being their final album because Phife Dawg died.
Yeah, man, which for a final
That's
album,
a phenomenal album.
Yeah, for a final album, man, that shit goes off. Fuck.
You know, Metallica came back.
Yeah, Metallica came back with a pretty decent ass thrash album.
Childish Gambino came back, and he was basically just funkadelic.
That is awesome. I gotta check some of his shit out.
He is all like, I'm not gonna lie to you, his early shit's kind of bad. Like when you do the you hear like Camp, and he's like rapping about being a black nerd and like not being respected, as though Kanye didn't break the door down for anybody who wasn't gonna rap about being a gangsta. You know, I will admit there are some really funny lines on that album. Like there's a bit about like, I'm the only white rapper black enough to say the N-word. And there's something about, like, Pitchfork won't respect me because there ain't no space for the only black kid at a Sufjan Stevens concert.
God damn.
That is just amazing. But, like, his early rap stuff is, like, the singles are cool, but, like, his albums don't get good until he does Awaken My Love. And he dropped an album just last month. I still need to hear it.
Ah.
So, like, I think there was just so much happening in 2016 that, like,
a lot of
nobody
change.
really had time for Lady Gaga. Because, like, this was at the point where, like, Lady Gaga's first album's almost a decade old. You know, the kids who grew up with the fame, you know, the 20-somethings who were loving the fame when they were grinding to it in the club, they're in their 30s now.
Yeah, they're parents and shit now, and
they're working full-time jobs. They're not going to the club anymore.
Yeah.
And the teenagers who the young kids and the teenagers who came of age when Gaga was at her peak, you know, the kids who were 14, 15 years old when Born This Way came out, you know.
Yeah.
They're all in college and they're listening to artsier shit, you know, like you do when you go to college. And I feel like there was just not we were too busy, like, burying Lady Gaga's era to really, like, give her any like, respect in 2016, I think.
Yeah, that I can see that, because it was like so many things were changing, so many different things were coming out and happening that it was like, you know, it was like, oh, Lady Gaga's got a new album, man, who's listening to this club shit? Because most of those club artists were gone at that point, but it's like nobody was paying attention to the fact that, oh, it's Lady Gaga not doing a club album. And I guess most people just were not paying attention.
And it's so weird that, like, I look at this record and I think about where music went, and I think, you know, that was a smart choice. This was a smart album in a lot of ways, because, like, 2017 is loaded with albums from artists where the artists, I feel like all these artists looked at where the waters were going in 2016 and were like, 2017, it's going to be a pop year, man. It's going to be a year for pop bangers. We need to make these albums. We need to go pop as we can get. And that's how you get Arcade Fire sounding like U2. That's how you get Lana Del Rey doing her best to be Lorde with rappers on her tracks. You know, that's how you have Lorde dropping, like, the greatest dance pop album of the 2010s, but it not doing all that well. You know, St. Vincent even, like, reinventing herself to be more of a pop diva. You know?
Yeah.
It was and, like, the weird thing is, like, all those artists did that, and, like, that was not at all what 2017 was about. 2017 was about droney indie girls and rappers, trap rappers, doing that, like, Migos flow, talking about purple drank and popping some Xannies.
Yeah, man.
Because that was what, you know, that was where we were at in 2017, is everybody was just depressed. 2018 too. I still think one of the funniest Todd in the Shadows quotes ever was, you know, you look at the hits of 2014. It's a song called Happy by Pharrell. You look at one of the top hits of 2017. It's a song called Sad by a dead wife beater.
Yeah.
That was XXX Tentacion, or however you say his name.
I have no idea who that is.
He was a violent wife beater, and he was part of that trap scene, and now he's dead.
Really?
All of the trap scene is like this is going to be a blasphemous comparison for a lot of people. The trap scene is like gangster rap or grunge, because it's like all of these trap guys are just dropping like flies.
They are, man.
Like we've had like 4 major figures in that genre die in the span of like 3 years.
And a lot of them were like in their early ass 20s.
A lot of them were younger than I am.
Yeah, like holy shit.
Like it's like it's like dudes younger than me ODing and getting shot and whatnot, and it's some bad stuff. So I give Lady Gaga a lot of credit, because I feel like Joanne sort of anticipated that pop was going to get a lot more like introspective and down to earth.
Yeah.
And I think this album sort of does that. She's not a good enough lyricist for like it's like a singer-songwriter record, but she's not good enough at her lyrics to really hit you with that weight. Like even Father John Misty, you know.
Yeah.
Father John Misty, when he really wants to make you feel something, he can really make you feel something.
Yeah.
Some of those ballads on God's Favorite Customer, you know.
Yeah, it's like, this is what I like to say about the contrast between Pure Comedy and God's Favorite Customer, is he spends the entirety of Pure Comedy just straight up tearing apart just mainstream society, whereas fucking God's Favorite Customer, he's tearing himself apart.
I'll develop this more whenever we do that retrospective, but like Pure Comedy feels like, you know, you are drunk off of your ass. Maybe you're a little crossfaded. You know, you've had some other chemical enhancement as well. You're at a party and you are just no holds barred. You are spewing venom at everyone and everything.
Yeah, you're just talking
the world
shit
is fucked.
about
Religion is fake. Everything is wrong and bad, and I know that it's all bullshit. And then God's Favorite Customer is the next morning when you wake up in the gutter and have no friends anymore.
That is so fucking true. Oh, that is so fucking true.
But yeah, so Joanne, to me, you know, I love the music. You know, like I said earlier, she was always the most rock out of that wave of pop. And for her to just indulge in that side of her for a whole album is something I really like, you know?
Yeah.
Because while she's better at the kind of pop, dance, industrial, what have you, she's still pretty good at the rock. You know, for a little pop rock album in 2016, this is damn good.
Yeah, this is really good.
But unfortunately, you know, it's a little on the bland side at times.
Definitely.
Which is, you know, it's the fact that, like, you didn't listen to it for so long after you first heard it, and the fact that I did not feel the need to listen to it for almost 3 years after I originally heard it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm going to drop my rating right now. It's a 7, you know?
Yeah.
It's another 7.
I can get down with a 7. Because
like
this is the third time I've listened to it since it came out. So 3 times in 4 years.
Yeah. You know?
But every time I listen to it, I don't mind it.
So it's a 7. It's a 7 to me because for exactly what you said. You know, it is a good album that I enjoy a lot when it's on, but I kind of forget about it when it's off, and I do not feel the need to listen to it often.
Yeah. Seriously.
And the Monster's better than this. Born This Way is way better than this. Both Born This Way and Monster are way better than this to me.
Yeah, because when I'm wanting to jam
it's a respectable comeback album after art pop.
Yeah. Because when I want to hear some Gaga shit, you know, I want to have fun. And so,
Yeah.
you know, I'm turning on Born This Way or Monster, and that's really all I fuck with out of any of her stuff. I never feel the need to turn on art pop, even though like I can listen to Aura, I can listen to Aura all day, but I'm like, I might just have to move that track onto something else because I ain't trying to hear what comes after. But yeah, Born This Way and Monster is like the only shit of hers I'm really fucking with.
So, you know, we briefly touched on it in the intro. Her new album, Chromatica, after 4 years, got delayed
Yeah.
to times unknown because of the coronavirus. Now, before we get into that again, and maybe do our final thoughts on Gaga, I want to talk a little bit about Stupid Love.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I'm not going to do a first listen for it, and I don't think you guys will.
We'll probably we'll review the album when we eventually get it.
Yeah, exactly. But not the song. You know, the song's been out.
I think we talked about the song a little bit on our latest news Speaker Brains episode. But yeah.
So I think the Stupid Love to me is the best thing I've heard from Lady Gaga in years.
Yeah, me too.
Like I love, you know, it's Max Martin producing it, which I did not know until I just looked at the credits. And that's somebody I normally don't like very much. You know, Max Martin is someone who tends to make when Max Martin touches something, he tends to make it very cold and sterile.
I don't even know who that is.
He has worked with, you would know his touch if you had really, because he has worked with so many. He has worked, I'm fairly certain he's the one who produced 1989 by Taylor Swift.
Ah.
Let me. He worked with Britney Spears. He co-produced "Baby One More Time."
Whoa. But
Oops, I Did It Again. He worked on that too. He worked with "The Way It Is" by Celine Dion.
Wow.
Let me see, like Pink. He did a lot of work with Pink. He worked with Usher, Avril Lavigne, Katy Perry, Christina Aguilera. He co-wrote "We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together" with Taylor Swift.
Wow. A lot of stuff that I just don't really get into.
He produced and co-wrote the first 3 singles on 1989. He co-wrote "Shake It Off." He co-wrote "Blank Space." He co-wrote "Style." And he also co-wrote "Bad Blood." And he's worked with Ariana Grande. He's worked with The Weeknd. You know, you would know this guy. If you'd heard those songs, you would know this guy has a production sound. And it's not a production sound that I like very much. You know, I like 1989, but I like 1989 because of nostalgic reasons, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it's one of those albums where, you know, the big singles were huge at a point in my life when I was doing pretty well. So, you know, there's some nostalgia there. But I love that Stupid Love does the weird stuff it does with the vocal loops.
Yeah.
Like, the hook is like a vocal of like an onomatopoeia, like looped, and presumably through like MIDI and stuff like that. And that's really fun. And her vocal performance in that song, the first time I heard it, I was like, this sounds like Madonna. Like, she is really channeling her inner Madonna on that track. And the music video is a lot of fun, too. I think the aesthetic of the music video and the overall aesthetic of the album so far, from what we've seen from the album cover that's been released, I think the aesthetic is cool.
Yeah, and I like how the album cover says temporary album art.
Yeah. Well, which cover is that? Does it just say temporary album art?
Well, it's pink. It's got some kind of pink design.
Yin and yang kind of deal.
Yeah. But you know what, though, is interesting is, alright, the song is absolutely fun. Like, it's everything I want in a Lady Gaga track. But I never knew this, but she says, we made a lot of the record in my studio house. So I have a house where it's Frank Zappa's old studio.
Yes, I was going to mention that.
It's a live room, it's a big studio, it's beautiful. So
the utility muffin research kitchen.
Exactly. So wow, that's pretty interesting.
So I couldn't find a place to put that in, but I was going to mention that because when basically Frank Zappa's estate was Frank Zappa's widow, who is now herself deceased.
Talking about Gail.
Yeah, she maybe did not handle the finances of the Zappa family trust as well as she could have. There were some lawsuits that the fandom generally disapproved of and felt were sort of frivolous.
Yeah.
That were very expensive, and there was a feeling of both amongst the fandom and amongst Frank's two elder children that Gail mismanaged aspects of the trust, and eventually they just had to sell Frank's house. And I remember a lot of people were not happy at the time that Lady Gaga had bought, Frank's house. But, if any major pop star of our time has to own Frank's house, definitely Lady Gaga.
Yeah, down with that.
So that is, I didn't even think about that. But even though I knew she had that house and I knew she had it has a home studio. So that's really cool. And yeah, it's a good track. It is particularly the way she sings parts of the pre-chorus very much remind me of like 80s Madonna. There's always been a comparison there. I remember being about 13 at one point, and my mom, for some reason, was explaining to me and my brother who Madonna was, even though I knew who Madonna was by that point. But I think she was probably explaining for the benefit of my brother. And I remember even saying, she was like, oh, Madonna was very flashy and very flamboyant and artsy and kind of weird. And I think I said, like, oh, like Lady Gaga? This is like 2010-ish, 2009 could be. So that influence is there, and that's interesting. And like I was saying, the video, I like the aesthetic for the video. What did we call it? Mad Max meets
fucking Sailor Moon.
Yeah. Meets West Side Story.
Seriously.
And I like that it kind of kept the desert vibe from Joanne.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited for whenever the album gets released.
Yeah, whenever. And you know what's funny is it's back for pre-order on Amazon, because once she delayed it, that shit left Amazon. Now it's back for pre-order, and it has its own date for December 31st, 2020. So they don't have a date. They're just saying sometime this year.
Yeah. Well, it's I feel like, I understand. I was disappointed because I was looking forward to. I was going to do a first impressions, and I was going to I was waiting to see all of, like, if any of my viewers would be like, why the fuck are you reviewing this? Because my audience is mostly, like, prog types and whatnot. So I was disappointed with that, but, like, by the same token, like, I'm pretty sure this is supposed to be her big comeback record.
Yeah, bigger comeback than Joanne. Like, this feels like it might be a follow-up to Born This Way.
Yeah, so this. I understand Lady Gaga not wanting to botch this.
Yeah, true that.
Because, like, there's a couple artists, like Dua Lipa, who I am not a huge fan of, but I have several friends who are big into her. First off, her album leaked. And secondly, she said she wanted to give people something to actually be happy about. You know, in the middle of all of this.
Yeah.
And Fiona Apple, out of nowhere, defied her record label and said it's coming out on the 17th. You know, her new album.
Yeah, I actually kind of want to hear what that sounds like. I've only got her one album that has Shadow Boxer and shit, but I want to get some more of her stuff.
I forget that she only has, like, 4 or 5 albums across 25 years. Like...
Which, thankfully, you don't have to spend a whole lot of money catching up on her shit.
No, you don't. So that's about all I have to say about the new Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
Whenever it comes out. So
Like,
how would you... We didn't do this for Tom Waits. We probably should have.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, you know, why not just do it now? Quickly give a discography rating for Tom Waits, and then we'll give it final thoughts on Lady Gaga. You know?
Discography rating for Tom Waits, as a whole, 9. But I've normally got to split his shit in half, so everything before Swordfish, at least a 7, and everything after Swordfish can go all the way up to 10. But yeah, you put them all together, a solid 9.
Yeah, I'm gonna probably have to go with an 8, and that's mostly because, like, for me, his early stuff is a 7, and his later stuff is a 9.
True.
So I'm gonna compromise at 8, but some days it's higher, you know. And it's now Lady Gaga's discography.
It's half good.
It's half and half. I kind of have to go back to what my friend Michael says of that. Like, she is an artist who has never delivered on how talented she is.
Yeah, that is true.
And it's annoying to have to say that because, like, she's made some incredible albums. Like, she is head and shoulders above anybody else who was doing the 2000s pop thing. At least the club stuff, you know.
Yeah.
So, like, but, like, her discography being as uneven as it is, where you have 2 bad albums, a good album, 2 good albums, and a phenomenal EP. It hurts, but I can't give this higher than a 6.
That's exactly where I was gonna go. Her full discography, like everything you just said, is pretty much how I feel.
Like, I want to give her higher than a 6 because her best stuff is really good. And she does a lot. She, in her prime, as in 2011, 2012, 2009, she did a lot of stuff that I enjoyed, like the electronic stuff, the glammy, glitzy, almost shock rock side of her. I liked that she was ruffling feathers at a time when feathers needed to be ruffled.
Definitely. Definitely.
But, like, with Art Pop being as highly disappointing as it is, and with The Fame being such a rough debut, I just can't do it,
Yeah. Because, Born This Way and Monster are the only albums I ever feel like listening to. Like, even though I can really dig Joanne, I ain't never trying to turn that shit on, and Art Pop really having one amazing song and a couple really good ones. Art Pop and The Fame, I'm just not trying to fucking fuck with, so it would be a 5, but the fact that Born This Way and Monster are so good and Joanne's pretty good, it moves it up a point. Like, a 6 across the board. But
I was going to give it a 5 too if I hadn't liked Joanne as much as I did.
Yeah, if I didn't like Joanne, it would have been a 5. But I'm hoping this new one kind of adds a couple more points to that.
I hope so too.
Because if this new one is better than Born This Way or as good, I could easily see me throwing out an 8. But we're not there yet.
That. No.
We don't know when we're going to be there.
No. Well, we don't know when this corona thing is going to end.
Exactly.
I've heard people say this could go as late as August. It could be next fall before we get a vaccine for it. So
seriously.
Everything's kind of up in the air. However, all of that free time means that hopefully there will be more content from the both of us.
Yeah, hopefully. But yeah, even Ministry said that they're working on a new album during the quarantine. So I'm like, all right.
Peter Townsend said that he's working on a new Who album. And my friend, my buddy Eric is like, oh, this might be the worst thing that comes out of the quarantine.
I actually didn't
Even though
mind.
that last Who album was not bad.
Yeah, it was pretty good. It had all the Who things you like in there. So.
Yeah.
But, so, I guess that is the end of the Lady Gaga retrospective.
Yes, it is.
And, eventually we'll get to that final bit of the Frank Zappa.
We might find a way to stretch it out for 2 more podcasts before we do that.
Yeah.
Every time we say the next time it's going to be Frank Zappa, but we find some other excuse not to do it.
Yeah. Oh my God, seriously. But, so, we can find you where on the internet? I need to start doing this at the beginning, because who knows who is sticking around to the end.
So somebody's going to turn off the video, like, in the middle of Art Pop, and look, what are these guys talking about KMFDM for 10 minutes before they get to Art Pop?
Yeah.
You can find me at The Rustic Reviewer on YouTube and various other places, but that's the main one,
Oh yeah. But yeah, you can find us over at the YouTube as Bloody Chuckles Studios, and you can also find our podcast, Speaker Brains, and Fresh from the Basement on Horrorphilia.com. And we will see y'all on the next video. We'll see y'all later. Yeah.